worldwide at maging sa ating mga platform sa ating internet, sa social media. Ngayong umaga ay ating tututukan muna itong pagbubukas ng 19th Congress. Ito po yung magkahiwalay na sesyon ng Senado at Kamara dilan sa kanilang pagbubukas ngayong araw. Mamayang hapon ay tutungo ang mga senador dyan po naman sa Batasan Complex sa Kamara Representantes upang pakinggan ang Pangulong Marcos sa kanyang SONA ngayong araw na ito, Hulyo 25, Lunes 2022. Sa puntong ito ay kukunin din natin ating linya, ating kasamahan dyan po naman sa Senado, din sa Kamara Representantes sa kanilang paghahanda. Ito yung kaunahan naman na pagkakataon sa nakalipas na 2 taon na magiging face-to-face na itong joint session ng Kongreso mamayang hapon dahil sa naapektuhan nga sa nakalipas naman na mga taon ng COVID-19 na pandemic, itong ating pagkasagawa ng joint session. Diyan sa Senado, ang mamunguna dyan ang acting Senate President na si Juan Miguel Mig-Zubiri na siyang inaasahan din na magiging Senate President. Pero sa Kamara, hindi ang House Speaker ang mamuna sa pagbubukas ng kanilang sesyon ngayong umaga, pero kundi ang kanilang Secretary General. Dito rin ay mag-elect sila ng kanilang mga leader kaugnay po naman ng 19th session ng Kongreso. Sa kaugnay na balitang yan, madako tayo direkta dyan po naman sa Quezon City, dyan sa Kamara Representante si Bombo Soberano. Bomboan, nag-start na ba ngayon dyan ang pagbubukas ng sesyon ng Kamara? Kumusta ngayon dyan, Bomboan?
Yes, Bombo Elmar. Unti-unti nang nagsidatingan, halos andito na sa loob ng plenary ang mga House members na miyembro ng 19th Congress. Ito kasi ang first regular session ng 19th Congress. Eksaktong alas 10 ngayong umaga magsisimula itong first regular session ng House of Representatives. At ito nga, Bombo Elmar, ang order of business ay ang mga sumusunod. Ang number 1 ay ang call to order, pangalawa yung national anthem, susunod yung doxology, and then magkakaroon ng roll call at yung designation ng acting floor leader, at magkakaroon din ng election and off-taking of the speaker. Adoption ng 18th Congress sa rules of the House of Representatives as amended as provisional rules ng HOR for the 19th Congress. Oath of the members ng mga House of Representatives, election ng mga deputy speakers, election and oath-taking ng Secretary General at Sergeant at Arms, at magkakaroon din ng election ng majority leader. So, itong consideration and adoption of HOR concurrent resolution number 1 providing for the Senate and the House of Representatives to hold a joint session. So, sa ngayon, Bombo Elmar, nagsisimula na ang itong first regular session, at naririnig natin ay umaawit na yung pambansang awit dito, Bombo Elmar. Pakinggan muna natin yung naging panayam natin kanina kay House Secretary General Leandro Mendoza at kay Sergeant at Arms General Rodelio Hoxon.
Ito ngayon, nasa full capacity kasi kaya mga 2,000 eh. So, ngayon, para may sa safety protocols na rin natin, limit na natin ang 1,300 yan. Including na yung sa kabuuan na yun, pati yung plenary, yung sa mga members natin. Pati sa members, nakasama na po yun. Kasi, more or less mga 1,300, yeah. Yes.
Magkano ang capacity talaga niyan, sir?
Oh, yeah, mga almost 2,000 ang capacity. Nabawasan dati kasi mga 2,000 something yan. Nabawasan dahil ni-renovate natin, inalis natin yung first gallery. Kinonvert natin na maging part ng session hall, na plenary, ng floor. Yeah.
So, kaya strict yung natin.
Dito makakapasok lang yung invited, tsaka yung mga essential personals na tutulong dito sa pagdaraos ng ating zona.
Kaya very remote yung possibility na gano'n na may makapagpasok ng mga illegal arms, siyempre.
Yes, we have naman mga equipment to check that.
Ayan nga si House Sergeant at Arms Rodelio Hoxon at si House Secretary General Leandro Mendoza ang magkanusunod nilang tinig. So ngayon, Bombo Elmar, balik na po tayo sa pag-cover nitong session, first regular session ng 19th Congress na nagsisimula na. Mula dito sa House of Representatives, Bombo Montaño Soberano nag-uulat para sa Pambansang Radyo ng Pilipinas. Basta Radio, Bombo!
Maraming salamat Bombo Soberano dyan sa Kamara. Mamaya kukuha tayo ng live feed, video dyan sa Kamara Representantes. Kaugnay po naman ang kanilang kabuuan nitong inaugural session. Samantala, madako naman tayo dyan sa Senado. Kaugnay pa rin ang kanilang pagbubukas din ng kanilang session. Ito hiwalay muna ngayon. Mamayang hapon joint session na sila sa Quezon City. Mula sa Quezon City, i-check natin ang signal. Dyan po naman sa may Pasay City. Nandun naman si Bombo Raymond Tinasa. Bombo Raymond, kamusta kaganapan ngayon dyan sa Senado? Bombo Raymond.
Yes, Bombo Elmar, Bombo Radio Philippines, mga kabombo. Check ko lang yung aking signal dyan, Bombo Elmar.
Naku, Bombo Raymond, you're coming in 5x5. Poging-pogi ang inyong audio at video, Bombo Raymond. Nag-start na ba dyan ang kanilang pag-open ng 19th Congress First Session na Bombo Raymond?
Yes, tama ka dyan, Bombo Elmar, at nagpapatuloy. Kakasimula pa naman actually, ongoing yung prayer o yung pagdarasal na pinapangunahan mismo ni Senator Alan Peter Cayetano. At yan yung nagpapatuloy ngayon. At mamaya ay itong si Acting Senate President Mig Zubiri ang magpe-preside na yung naturang sesyon. At sabi mo nga kanina ay siya yung magbibigay, babang ng Gable bilang hudyat na simula na yung session, Bombo Elmar. At pagkatapos ito ay magkaroon na ng eleksyon ng kanilang mga, kumbaga, mga bagong opisyal, mga chairmanship sa iba't ibang mga komite. Ngayon ay ongoing na yung national anthem. Well represented, full attendance, Bombo Elmar, yung itong ngayon ay mga senador. At kanina rin ay nagbigay din ng ng ambush interview. Kasama tayo diyan kanina itong si Senator Loren Legarda at itong si Senator Amy Marcos, ang kapatid ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos Jr., Bombo Elmar. At kanina ay sinasabi niya na panahon na para ika nga ay get mad, get loud. Particular daw sa mga smugglers. Dapat daw sa kanyang SONA ay magagalit at maninindak na itong si Pangulong Marcos laban sa mga smugglers na siya sumisira sa ating mga kabuhayan ng ating mga magsaka. Ito na, Bombo Elmar, si Senator Mig Zubiri at kanya nang formal na binubuksan yung sesyon ng upper chamber, ika nga, o itong Senado, Bombo Elmar.
Yes, i-check natin Bombo Raymond, yung live feed ang unang pagkakalam natin, magiging maiksi lamang ito hindi mahabaan Bombo Raymond. Okay, ito na. Go ahead.
Yes, kasi meron na silang initial na mga agreement, Bombo Elmar, yung mga committee chairmanship. At ito nga, kumbaga, ayos na ang buto-buto. Ito nga si Senate President na, itong si Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri, Bombo Elmar. Pero may mga hindi pa malinaw kung ano magiging chairmanship o kung saan siya lulugar, kung sa majority o sa minority, itong si Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, Bombo Elmar. At kung sino yung magiging minority leader. So may mga lumulutang dyan, itong si Senator Coco Pimentel o kaya itong Senator Risa Ontiveros, Bombo Elmar.
Ang inaabangan ko rin dito, Bombo Raymond, magkakaroon sila ng deputy ba? Dilan sa unang lumabas,
Yes.
itong si Senator Jing Estrada. Sa unang pagkataon sa kasaysayan ng Senado, mag-i-elect sila ng 2 deputy sa Bombo Raymond. Pero ang abangan natin kung sino yung isa pa. Kasi lumalabas ang unang pangalan, itong Senador JVR ito, di ba? Bombo Raymond, ganun ba?
Tama ka dyan, Bombo Elmar. Sabi nga ni Senator Amy Marcos kanina, nasa diskresyon na yan na ika nga ay Senate President kung sino yung kanyang magiging, kumbaga, ay dito na, nagbibigay na ng, kumbaga, itong si Senator Joel Villanueva ng parang roll call at itong mga motion para sa eleksyon ng kanilang mga officers, Bombo Elmar.
Okay. Sige, ambagan natin yan, Bombo Raymond, sapagkat ang pagkakaiba nito sa Senado at dyan sa Kamara. Sige, ito na, Bombo Raymond. Binabagyo mo si Senator Joel Villanueva. Go ahead. Ito na.
Yes.
Padilla Robin Hood C, Legarda Lorna Regina B, Tulfo Rafi T, Gatchalian Sherwin T, Escudero Francis Joseph G, Villar Mark A, Cayetano Alan Peter S, Zubiri Juan Miguel F, Villanueva Emmanuel Joel J. Ejercito Joseph Victor G. Ontiveros Ana Teresita N. and Estrada Jinggoy E. be considered read into the record. Copies of the COMELEC resolution were earlier distributed to the members of the Senate.
Is there any objection? There being none, the motion is approved, and I would like to ask Senator Angara to rise to the podium. Thank you.
Dito.
Alright, si Senator Sani Angara, isa sa mga senior senator. Okay, pakinggan natin. Nasa podium siya ngayon, na opisina ng Senate President. Siya muna siguro pansamantala ng preside.
May we now proceed with the administering of the oath of office to the 12 newly elected senators. We'll now proceed with the formal oath taking. May we request, Your Honors, that you take your oath in your respective seats. So please, to the 12 new senators, please rise and take your copies of the oath of office. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name. Having been elected to the position of senator, do hereby solemnly swear that I will well and faithfully discharge, to the best of my ability, the duties of my present position, and of all others I may hereafter hold, under the Republic of the Philippines, that I will support and defend the Constitution of the Philippines, that I will obey the laws and legal orders and decrees promulgated by the duly constituted authorities, and maintain true faith and allegiance to the Republic of the Philippines, and that I impose this obligation upon myself voluntarily, without mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God. Please accept our warmest congratulations, Your Honors.
So yan, walo yung nanumpa ngayon.
Congratulations, Your
Walo yung
Honors.
nanumpa. Tatlo yung mga neophyte, 5 yung returning. Yung mga luma na, mga dati pa, ay nakopo lamang sila. So, Cesar Sani Angara ang nagpanumpa sa kanila itong 8 mga bagitong, mga bagong senador kaugnay ng pagbubukas ngayong umaga ng kanilang sesyon. Okay, balikan natin, Diyan pa rin sa ating live feed sa ginagawa nating special coverage sa mga oras na ito.
Here's ito. Senator Escudero, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Hontiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Ligarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel III, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Cincia, Senator Villar Mark, the Acting Senate President Subiri.
With 24 senators present, the chair declares the presence of a quorum. Majority Leader?
Mr. President, at this juncture, I move that we now proceed with the election of the President of the Senate. So move.
Is there any objection? There being none, the motion is approved. We will now proceed with the election of the President of the Senate.
Mr. President, may I have the floor for a nomination?
Certainly, the Majority Leader, Senator Villanueva, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues. In Romans chapter 8, verse 28, it says, and I quote, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." Close quote. 3 years ago, Mr. President, in 2019, in the 18th Congress, I also had the privilege to nominate Senator Zubiri for the position of Majority Leader. The past 3 years have shown how he surpassed our expectations and those of the Filipino people, which this august legislative body serves and stands for. With his demonstrated ability as consensus builder, Senator Mig Zubiri set the tone and led this chamber towards accomplishing the agenda of the Filipino people, even amidst the pandemic, leaving behind a productive 18th Congress with 500 bills of national and local applications passed into law. Among the top of the list are the COVID-19 Vaccination Program Act and the Bayanihan to Recover as one act. But the 18th Congress was not the first time he held leadership posts. At 39 years of age during the 14th Congress, he became the youngest majority floor leader since the first Congress in 1946. And again, he was Senate Majority Leader in the 17th Congress. He served in both houses of Congress for almost 2 decades, mentored by the senators who came before us, like Senators Miriam Defensor Santiago, Edgardo Angara, Aquilino Pimentel, and Joker Arroyo. In the previous Congress, he was part of the leadership team of the Senate, consisting of Senate President Tito Soto, Senate President Pro Tempore Ralph Recto, and Minority Leader Frank Drilon. Indeed, there is an appointed time for everything. 2 nights ago, if I recall, Senator Zubiri shared with us that this is actually his favorite verse in the Bible, found in the book of Ecclesiastes, that God's timing is perfect. Indeed, God's timing is perfect. It's not too late, it's not too soon. The trabahador ng Senado is now ripe for the Senate presidency. Ika nga po sa amin sa Bulacan, ang bungang hinog sa sanga, matamis ang lasa. Senator Migs and several other senators present here today, Senator Cheese, Senator Alan, Senator Sani, Senator Aimee, Senator Risa, Senator Win, and I became colleagues in the lower house during the 12th and 13th Congresses. We have seen with our own 2 eyes how Senator Zubiri transformed from an athletic heartthrob to a statesman. What strikes me the most is the unique quality of his leadership. He is a dedicated government servant, advocate, and policy maker. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, as we have seen the same leadership brand from his parents, Governor Joe Zubiri of Bukidnon and Victoria Fernandez Zubiri of Albay. The way Senator Zubiri handles the stresses and high-level demands of the positions he holds never fails to surprise me until now. Tensions, confusion, and disagreements do not easily rattle him. He can manage to keep his cool and face adversities with a smile. Sabi nga po ng marami sa atin, dito sa Senado, kung may boses na nakakapagpakalma at ngiting nakakatunaw, kay Senator Migs yan. We always wait for him to say, we have just passed another happy bill, because it reminds us that we can achieve more if we come together, trust, and cooperate. His legislative accomplishments are laudable. He is the principal author and sponsor of hundreds of laws of national application, both in the Senate and during his stint as 3-term congressman of Bukidnon. To take stock of his legislative track record, I say that Senator Zubiri's leadership traits best fit for Senate presidency: compassionate, collaborative, and creative. His compassion stems from being an environmentalist. As a fervent advocate of clean energy, he worked for the passage of Renewable Energy Act of 2008, RA 9153, and the Biofuels Act of 2006, RA 9367, earning him the moniker Mr. Clean Energy. He is also the founder of the Philippine Deer Foundation, a deer conservation project. His master's degree in Environment and Natural Resources Management from the University of the Philippines Open University firmly deepened his causes for these issues and evidence his commitment to lifelong learning. His collaborative skills come from the value he appropriates for cooperatives. We call him the father of the new cooperative code because he is the principal author and sponsor of Republic Act number 9520, or the Philippine Cooperative Code of 2008. His investment in the growth of the cooperative sector carried over to the 17th and 18th Congresses, where he chaired the Committee on Cooperatives. His creativity flows from being an entrepreneur and an athlete. He is the chairman and president of the Philippine Eskrima Kali Arnis Federation, the National Sports Association for Arnis. Under his leadership, PECAF was responsible for training and supporting the Philippine National Arnis team. PECAF earned a record 14 gold medals in the 30th Southeast Asian Games. While our previous Senate President is a multi-awarded bowler, our next Senate President is a gold medalist at the 1989 World Arnis Championships. Pero wag po kayong mag-alala dahil kahit ang mga issue na hindi madadaan sa debate, may mga isyong ganon, hindi po ito idadaan ni Senator Mig sa martial arts at Arnis. This institution must serve the Filipino people. And with Senator Zubiri at its helm, steering and charting its course, it can do much more. Ang institusyong ito ay saksi mula pa noong 1916 na nasa taong bayan ang totoong kapangyarihan. Isang bagay na malinaw kay Senator Zubiri na nabanaag natin sa kanyang mga naipasang mga batas, mga desisyong ginawa niya dito sa plenaryo ng Senado at advokasiyang isinulong sa loob at labas ng lehislatura. Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri, my nominee for the Senate presidency, is a veteran legislator, having served in both houses of Congress and having posted perfect attendance across 2 decades of service. He knows by heart and as a second nature the Senate rules and the ins and outs of navigating the legislative procedures, duties, responsibilities, and bureaucracy. Consequently, and as evidence to what I mentioned previously, are his legislative accomplishments, the various committee and posts he held in both houses of Congress, and how he handled, managed, and executed his duties and responsibilities, of which we are all witnesses. In Psalms chapter 78, verse 72, so he shepherded them according to the integrity of his heart and guided them with his skillful hands. Higit sa lahat, Ginoong Pangulo, siya ay isang mabuti at mapagmahal na asawa sa kanyang kabiyak na si Audrey at uliran at mapag-arugang ama sa kanyang mga anak na sina Adriana, Juanmi at ang aking BFF si Santi. Kaya ganun na lang po ang kanyang katapatan at pagmamahal sa ating bayan. Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri is the most qualified and eligible among us to preside over the Senate of the 19th Congress of the Philippines. For the above reasons and more, I nominate the gentleman from Bukidnon, Senator Juan Miguel Migs Zubiri, as our next Senate President. Thank you very much, and may God bless us all.
Thank you. The Acting Majority Leader, Senator Joel Villanueva. Mr. President, Majority Leader. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. President, at this juncture, may I ask that Senator Lauren Legarda be recognized for the nomination. So moved.
The distinguished lady from Antique, Senator Lauren Legarda, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. Distinguished colleagues, Senator Juan Miguel Mig Zubiri, who served this august chamber as Majority Floor Leader during the 18th Congress, has demonstrated his ability to lead and manage the legislative affairs of the Senate. He collaborated closely with former Senate President Vicente Tito Soto III, former Senate President pro tempore Ralph Recto, and former Minority Leader Franklin Drilon. Together, they guided the Philippine Senate to a fruitful 18th Congress despite the challenges of the more than 2.5 years pandemic. Dynamic, hardworking, congenial, forward-looking, there is never a day I do not see Senator Mig Zubiri not smiling. At siya ang tunay na trabahador ng Senado. It is my honor and privilege to nominate Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri of Mindanao as Senate President of the 19th Congress. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Legarda. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I ask that Senator Jinggoy Ejercito Estrada be recognized for the nomination.
The gentleman from San Juan, Senator Jinggoy Ejercito Estrada, is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Presiding Officer. Morning to our esteemed colleagues, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. As we open today the 19th Congress, our people expect as members of this upper chamber to keep the role of the Senate as the last bastion of democracy, a revered institution that consistently upholds the national interest, protects civil, political, and human rights, and promotes transparency and accountability in public service. The last national elections was probably the most divisive in recent years. More than 2 months has since passed. We now have to buckle down and perform our respective mandates as elected officials of this country. And as we navigate a challenging recovery from the pandemic, amid the resurgence of COVID-19 cases, the Senate needs to steer needed pieces of legislation to build back a better economy. And to get things done, there's no one in my mind that could lead the present composition of the Senate but Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri, or Senator Migs, as we fondly call him. However, if you were to ask me 2 decades ago what my impressions are about of Senator Migs, my answer would probably be not the most glowing. After all, we were then at the opposite ends of the political spectrum. I was part of the first family, while the neophyte Congressman Zubiri was with the opposition, who was among the most critical of my father's administration. Ngunit may kasabihan tayo, bilog ang mundo. At gaya ng mga bagay sa ating buhay, gayon din sa larangan ng politika, marami na po ang nagbago. Ang ilang bumabati ko sa atin ngayon, noon ay kaalyado at mabuting kaibigan na natin ngayon. To borrow the very witty but wise words of my father, weather lang yan. As I came to know him up close and personal in the 4 years that we were together in the Senate, I came to admire the man. When I was honored to be our Senate President Pro Tem during the 14th Congress, he was our hard-working majority floor leader. As majority leader, Senator Migs demonstrated competence and expertise on parliamentary rules and procedures and was able to steer and guide floor deliberations and pending measures with utmost fairness and direction, effectively creating an atmosphere of cooperation and understanding from both the majority and minority members. Indeed, I saw firsthand how this gentleman works. Totoong trabador ng Senado. He was a true consensus builder, finding ways and means to shepherd the passage of important measures and effectively navigated the so-called 24 republics that is this institution. His recognition as a consensus leader in the upper chamber was the reason why he regained his majority leadership, first bestowed upon him during the 14th Congress, in the 17th, and in the last 18th Congresses. And as the majority leader during the 18th Congress, he dutifully stood on this august floor, sometimes until the wee hours of the night, and even during the dangerous times when COVID emptied it of warm bodies. And on a personal note, nang ako'y nalugmok, hindi siya sumama sa mga taong sumipa sa akin ang ako'y dapandapa. This shows his decency and respect for a fellow public servant, and I thank him for that. A true gentleman, totoong tao, patas na kausap. Ngunit hindi tayo naghahanap ng pinuno na mabait o malambing o may pakikisama lamang. Ang hanap natin ay isang leader na masipag, magaling, at higit sa lahat, may alam. And to quote Martin Luther King, a genuine leader is not a searcher for consensus, but a molder of consensus. And in several instances in the past, Senator Zubiri displayed his ability to diffuse the tension on the Senate floor through his ice cream diplomacy. His amiable personality, coupled with good looks, aminin na natin, artistahin, gaya ng mga ibang artista rito, katulad ni Senator Robin Padilla, Senator Bong Revilla, Senator Lito Lapid. Huwag niya na po ako isama sapagkat itong aking mga nabanggit na senador mga artista, mga superstar do, tigit sa lahat, mas maganda lalaki kay sa akin. At minsan na rin siyang nagpakita ng tapang nang ipagtanggol niya ang integridad ng Senado mula sa akusasyong pag-whitewash ng isinasagawang investigasyon sa isang bribery extortion scandal na kinakasangkutan ng ilang opisyal ng Bureau of Immigration. Sabi nga niya, I didn't become world champion in our niche for nothing. Sabi niya sa isang katunggali niya, Senador. Ngunit sa huli, ipinairal pa rin ni Senator Miggs ang pagiging maginoo. Pagpapamalas ito ng isang mabuting leader na hindi hayaang madungisan ang institusyong kinabibilangan natin ngayon. As we face our future with the pandemic still in the midst, we can depend on a Senate leader who can exercise his best judgment, sound prudence, and wisdom, one who can help chart the destiny of our nation. Sa kanyang mahabang taon na karanasan bilang mamabata sa 2 kapulungan ng Kongreso, nagsimula siyang itim ang kanyang buhok hanggang sa naging puti na lahat. Masasabi kong buong-buo ng kanyang kalaman at kakayahan upang pangunahan ang pagsasakutuparan ng mabigat na papel ng Senado sa pagbangon ng bayan mula sa dagok ng pandemya. I am voting for Senator Miggs because his consultative approach in bringing together the best ideas that 24 of us can offer is the best vaccine against gridlock, which has plagued us so many times in the past. He is the Senate President we should have in these times when we are under immense pressure to deliver to the people what they need. He is the Senate President that we want to ensure that this institution will be a true workhorse, efficient, productive in terms of legislating the urgent policies to revive the economy, and truly responsive to the needs of the Filipinos. In closing, I would like to borrow a line from the 1957 inaugural speech of former President Carlos P. Garcia, and I quote, "Together we will meet our common problems and difficulties. With a singleness of purpose together, we will overcome them." And to continue to preserve the independence and integrity of the Senate, I respectfully nominate Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri as our next Senate President. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Chingoy Ayers de Estrada, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this juncture, Mr. President, I ask that Senator Grace Poe be recognized for the nomination.
Distinguished lady from Iloilo and Pangasinan, Senator Grace Poe is recognized.
Mr. Presiding Officer, fellow senators of the Republic, it is my honor to nominate Senator Juan Miguel Mig Zubiri, the most charming gentleman senator of this current wave of statesmen, as the Senate President of the 19th Congress. Congress deserves hard-working public servants, and it is my honor to be led by the best of us all. A real trabajador ng Senado who posts perfect attendance year in and out, all in his time in Congress. There's a very thin line between utmost efficiency and slave driving, and Senator Zubiri treads this line wonderfully. We have seen Senator Miggs shepherd priority measures on the floor like clockwork, and that is exactly the kind of dedication we need to bounce back after a pandemic. Like the law, he principally authored RA 11032, or the Anti-Red Tape Act. He promotes ease of doing business and efficiency delivery of government services on the Senate floor. He has served twice as the majority leader, and we all witnessed firsthand his mastery of the Senate rules as he pushed landmark legislation on the Senate floor. And if all else fails, as a master bolero, he can turn even the most vehement objections into reluctant agreement and eventually into full consent. He is the founder and chairman emeritus of the Committee on Charm. Sa sobrang galing, pati si dating minority leader Franklin Drilon bumoboto kasama ang majority. Today he graduates from the front bench to wielding the gavel. I have no doubt he will use it fairly and wisely, and for the benefit of the Filipino people. It is my privilege to nominate the most foreign-looking senator, but a true Filipino statesman, to lead us in the 19th Congress. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Poe, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, may I ask that Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa be recognized for the nomination. So move.
The gentleman from Davao del Sur, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. General Montgomery of the British Army said, "Leadership is the capacity and the will to rally men and women to a common purpose, and the character which inspires confidence." Leadership, which I can attest, is an attribute that Senator Subiri possesses. I have witnessed his excellence in leading 23 individuals with 23 different opinions on national issues during the 18th Congress. True to his moniker as Trabajador sa Senado, I have seen how Senator Miguel Zubiri passionately worked for the benefit of our people. He was instrumental in ensuring that this august body fulfills our sworn constitutional mandate of enacting laws for the common good during the 18th Congress. Senator Zubiri does not stop working even when he is sick. Not even the deadly COVID-19 weakened his dedication for public service. He showed us his unwavering commitment to work during the peak of COVID-19 pandemic. While there was confusion and uncertainties that time, Senator Zubiri, together with the members of the 18th Congress, worked our ways with blood, sweat, and perhaps tears, so our executive department will be equipped to effectively combat the detrimental effects of the pandemic. All in a day's work of an enthusiastic senator such as Senator Zubiri. There will be debates and disagreements among us colleagues, like every Congress should. Every senator in this chamber has his or her own view and belief, but I certainly know that the leadership of Senator Zubiri will bind us all together in carrying out our duties and responsibilities as trabajadores of our people. Mr. President, as a Mindanaoan, it is with great honor and pride to second the nomination of our trabajador sa Senado, my fellow Mindanaoan, Senator Miguel Zubiri, as Senate President. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator De La Rosa, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, at this juncture, may I ask that Senator Joseph Victor Ejercito, our comebacking seatmate, be recognized for the nomination.
The other gentleman from San Juan, Senator J.V. Ejercito. Let it be put on record that Senator Jinggoy mentioned him as the good one. They're both good ones, Mr. President. We recognize Senator J.V. Ejercito for his nomination.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we begin the 19th Congress, we find the country facing difficult challenges. We're still grappling with the COVID-19 pandemic as daily cases continue to rise. Prices have skyrocketed because of forces beyond our control. Political divisions still haunt us, as evidenced by the horrific shooting at the Ateneo yesterday. Globally, the war in Ukraine, the skirmishes between China and the U.S. in our region, and the territorial disputes among Asian countries continue to create uncertainties for our future as a country. The Senate has historically been the bastion of democracy in our history. Those revered statesmen and stateswomen that have come before us led the country in facing their own challenges. Their patriotism and bravery have made the Senate what it is today. They've won their battles. This is our battle. This is our time. And as we go to battle, I'm comforted by the fact that the Senate of the 19th Congress is composed of 24 men and women whose love of country cannot be doubted. I'm comforted by the fact that we will be led by the man I am so honored and privileged to nominate as Senate President. Senator Zubiri has been a big part of the Senate stands for now, a competent, compassionate institution that is always ready to serve the Filipino people in times of peace or crisis. Senator Miggs was Majority Leader in 3 Congresses, the 18th, the 17th, and the 14th Congress, which made him the youngest elected Senate Majority Leader since 1946. This demonstrates not just Senator Miggs' knowledge of the Senate history and its rules, but his strong leadership, his charisma, and his self-assured temperament that is so critical in leading an institution like the Senate. Senator Miggs is an honorable man who once gave up his place in the Senate in order to defend this institution and protect his loved ones. He is a dedicated and committed public servant who has recorded complete attendance in his 20 years in public service and passed meaningful laws that benefit our people. On a personal note, Mr. President, I would like to thank Senator Mig Zubiri because we have been together in 2 national elections, 2013. Although we are not together as a team in 2019, I know for a fact that he was one of the happiest persons that I made it to the Senate. Kami po ay maganda ang samahan. We had a very good chemistry pag magkasama kami. Ako po yung kape, siya po yung coffee mate. Kapit gatas. And as a principal, on a personal note also, Mr. President, as the principal sponsor of the Universal Healthcare Law and the creation of the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, when he was majority leader, he was the one pushing me. Lagi niya sinasabi sa akin, James, tara na, ikalendar na natin yan para maipasa na natin. Kailangan natin maipasa. Those are 2 landmark legislations. He really pushed me. Thank you, bro, for really pushing me and being able to pass these 2 landmark legislations. It is because of you who really made sure that these laws will be taken up in the floor. Senator Mix possesses the kind of leadership that we need. Strong but not tyrannical, kind but not naive, cooperative but not subservient, humble, vigilant, and gallant. He is a loyal friend and ally, a pillar of the seatmate bloc of the Senate, who is always ready and willing to impart his knowledge and support to his colleagues. He is a family man, a loving husband, and protective father to his children. I know that there is no better person for the job than Senator Mix. It is therefore a privilege to nominate Senator Juan Miguel Mig Zubiri for the position of Senate President of this honorable chamber.
Thank you, Senator JV. Welcome back. We hope brotherly love will prevail in the next 3 years. Majority Leader?
Yes, Mr. President, at this juncture, with the consent of the body, there are no other nominations. I therefore move that we close the period of nomination and proceed to elect by acclamation Senator Juan Miguel F. Zubiri as President of the Senate.
Is there any objection? There being none, the motion is approved. Congratulations to Senate President Juan Miguel Fernandez Zubiri. Before we have the administering of the oath, I believe
Yes, Mr. President.
our former Majority Leader, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, wishes to make a manifestation.
Mr. President, I'd just like to ask that the record reflect that I did not participate in the voting to remain an independent, nor will I participate in the selection of the minority leader, but may I reserve the right and privilege to say good things about our Zubiri good Senate President elect. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano. The manifestation is noted. I see 2 members of the Senate raising their hand, so I will recognize our 3
Senator
ladies.
Pia, Mr. President,
Yes, I'm sorry, I did not see Senator Risa. So first, we have the lady from, just distinguished lady from Taguig, Senator Pia Cayetano.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. Let me congratulate our newly elected Senate President. May the record show that I also did not cast my vote in favor of my esteemed colleague. At this point, I would like to remain independent. I will also not participate or cast my vote in favor of any minority leader. But as I have told the Senate President, he knows that my commitment for the amazing work that this Senate will produce. He has my commitment that I will participate and ensure that nothing less than excellent work will come out of the Senate. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Pia.
Mr. President.
So the Senate President's charm did not work on you. Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President, may we recognize the gentleman from Cagayan de Oro, Senator Coco Pimentel?
Certainly, the bar top notcher, the brilliant lawyer from Cagayan de Oro, Senator Aquilino Coco Pimentel is recognized.
Thank you, sir. Now that we have elected our Senate President, I'd like to manifest that I abstained from the election of the Senate President. But nonetheless, let me congratulate my silingan, kababayan from Region 10, our leader from Mindanao. So congratulations, sir, and we are all here to help this Senate succeed in this 19th Congress. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Pimentel. So the chamber will be dominated by Region 10, maybe? Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President, may we also recognize and acknowledge the I recognize the distinguished lady from Macbayan, Senator Risa Ontiveros.
Yes, the distinguished lady from Akbayan Party List and province of the island of Panay is recognized.
Salamat, Mr. President. Mabuhi, SP Migs. Together with Senator Pimentel, I also make of record that I abstained on the vote on the Senate presidency, and I'm glad that it will be on record that SP Migs was uncontested. Mabuhay.
Thank you, Majority Leader.
Mr. President, may I ask for 1 minute suspension for the oath taking of our Senate President?
Session is hereby suspended. We ask Senator Lauren Legarda to join us to administer the oath to the Senate President, as well as the family of Senate President Zubiri to join here at the rostrum for his oath taking as Senate President. And may we ask the members of the Senate and our guests to please rise for the Senate President's oath taking.
So yan mga kabombo ka Star Nation, katatapos lamang ng nomination, nag-seconded na yung ilang mga miyembro ng Senado. Pero napansin natin mga kabombo ka Star Nation, 4 na mga senador yung hindi bumoto kay Senate President Mig Zubiri bilang new Senate President. Pero ibig sabihin nagpaliwanag naman sa suportado nila. Katulad nitong so naging malinaw na mga kabombo, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, kanyang kapatid na si Pia Cayetano ay magmumula sa independent group. Si Bombo Raymond baka may paglilinaw. Please come back, Bombo Raymond.
Bombo Elmar, out of 24 senators nga ay 4 yung nag-abstain o hindi bumoto, kaya ngayon ay Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri. So kabilang dyan yung magkapatid na Cayetano, si Senators Alan at Pia Cayetano, Bombo Elmar, dahil daw sa kanilang paniniwala na manatiling independent sa ngayon. At yun din yung kanyang kababayan sa Region 10. Itong si Senator Aquilino Coco Pimentel, Bombo Elmar, ay hindi rin bumoto. Bagamat, suportado raw niya yung kanyang kababayan at tuloy ang kanilang tulungan para magtagumpay yung 19th Congress. At ganoon din itong si Akbayan Senator Risa Ontiveros sa Bombo Elmar ay nag-abstain din. At anyway, ay majority pa rin naman yung nakuha ni Senator Zubiri bilang bagong Senate President. So ngayon ay oath-taking na at nanunumpa na Bombo Elmar. So mabilis lamang yung nangyaring botohan, pero ang mahaba-haba ay yung nominasyon ng ilang mga senador na nagpahiwatig ng suporta at kumpiyansa sa maging liderato ni Senate President Miguel Zubiri, Bombo Elmar.
Okay, Bombo Raymond, so ang panumpa, mag-oath itong si bagong Senate President Zubiri, itong comebacking, isa ring veteranong mambatas si Senator Lauren Legarda. So, bago natin balikan si Senator Lauren Legarda, so, nagiging malinaw na ngayon, Ito muna, Bombo Raymond, pakinggan natin ulit sa Senado ang oath taking ng bagong Senate President.
As President of the Senate,
Do hereby solemnly swear
that
I will well and faithfully discharge
I will well and faithfully discharge
to the best of my ability
the
duties of my present position and of all others I may hereafter hold under the Republic of the Philippines, that I will support and defend the Constitution of the Philippines,
that
I will obey the laws and legal orders
and decrees
promulgated by the duly constituted authorities and maintain true faith and allegiance to the Republic of the Philippines, and that I impose this obligation upon myself voluntarily without mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So yan mga kabombo, formal na pong nanumpa. So posible magtalumpati rito ang bagong Senate President Bombo Raymond. So balikan ko lamang. So naging malinaw na ang magkapatid na Cayetano, Bombo Raymond, hindi sumali dito naman sa opposition, sa minority group Bombo Raymond.
That's right. Gusto na talaga nila maging independent, either from the majority or sa minority bloc, Bombo Elmar. So ayaw nila na magkaroon sila ng kumbaga kaanib na grupo. So mas gusto nila independent. Tingnan natin kung ano pa yung wisdom ng kanilang desisyon na bakit gusto nila maging independent from the majority at maging sa minority rin, Bombo Elmar.
Ang pagkakaintindi rin natin, Bombo Raymond, kung maging isang independent senator si Senator Alan at sa Senator Pia, hindi ibig sabihin na critic sila o kontra. It could be na sumuporta sila sinusunod na majority or the opposition. So, Bombo Raymond, kasi kung opposition naman katulad ng grupo ni Senator Coco Pimentel, itong Senator Risa, malinaw yung kanilang posisyon na Bombo Raymond lagi.
That's right, Bombo Elmar. Kumbaga, yung linyahan ay not necessarily. Hindi naman, kumbaga, kontra doon sa gusto na isusulong ng mayorya. Kumbaga, meron lang silang sariling gusto rin. Pero pwede rin sila na kumbaga, tulungan, sumuporta doon din sa mga legislative measures na isusulong ng majority. This time, sa liderato ni Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri as Senate President Bombo Elmar.
Okay, kayo natalakay din natin na posible mag-elect for the first time Deputy Majority Floor Leader. Kanina, ang unang lumabas sa mga pangalan pa before this Senator JVR ito. Ang abangan natin, sino pa kaya ang maging Deputy Majority Floor Leader, Bombo Raymond? Na kauna na mangyari ito sa Senado, Bombo Raymond?
That's right, pero most likely ay parang nagkaroon na rin siguro ng ulitin natin, Bombo Elmar, okay yung boto-boto, okay na. So tingnan na, formality na lamang din ang mangyari ito unless na mayroong magbabago dito at may mag-nominate ng makakalaban ni Senator JB Ejercito Bombo Elmar.
Balikan natin na Bombo Raymond, baka magtalumpati ang bagong Senate President. Sige, check natin dyan sa Senado. Baka papasok ulit natin ang ating video. Dilan sa isa sa mga inilista ko rito, Bombo Raymond, sa mga nakakatuwa rin dito ng mga nomination, itong binanggit ni Senator Grace po, Bombo Raymond, kanya mga biro dito kay Senate President Mig Zubiri, Bombo Raymond. Although lumalabas din dito na walang kumontra sa bagong Senate President, so majority talaga, lumalabas na 20 ng mga senador ang pumabor. Balikan natin sa Senado.
Today, headed by His Excellency the Papal Nuncio, Most Reverend Charles John Brown, and all the other ambassadors, our dear colleagues, and of course our former colleagues of the Senate, to my family and friends, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. To my colleagues, thank you for the trust. I shall repay that honor with hard work as your trabajador ng Senado. To my family, my wife Audrey, who's always been supportive of me 1,000%. To my children Adriana, Juan, me, and Santi. To my mother and father, Mommy Vicky and Daddy Joe, I pledge that nothing I do will stain the memory of our ancestors or sour your love for me. It is with humility that I accept this position. I do so conscious of the burden it carries and committed to the work it entails. As presiding officer, I may wield the gavel, but not the power of this institution. That power is shared by us all, by every one of you, and more so our main responsibility of responding to the needs of the people and respecting their will. I say this, my friends, because you and I know that never has the fate of the Senate been dependent on the hands of only one man. It has always rested on the collective shoulders of all its members. The Senate has been described as one of the main engines of the ship of state, all of its 24 cylinders firing, unleashing the energy that propels our nation forward. However, this Senate does not merely row, it also steers the ship so it will not run into shoals or storms. It is the reason why we have to keep watch, always. But every new Senate's course is chartered by the challenges under which it operates. Every new Senate job description is written by the crisis it must confront. And ours is dictated by multiple crises before us. Food, fuel, fiscal, and the fading faith of our people in our institutions, just to name a few. On top of this is the COVID pandemic, which, courtesy of a mutating virus, will continue to disrupt lives and choke the economy before it can breathe its very last. But what it cannot suffocate is the fighting spirit of a people whose virtues of hard work, solidarity, compassion are greater than the virus at its vilest. This Senate will meet these big problems with bold thinking and brave legislation, but most especially, and I'm looking forward to this, bipartisanship. In this Senate workshop of great ideas, laws will be forged, and from which oversight of those who implement or ignore the laws will also be conducted. And speaking of oversight, we will exercise it not because we want to encroach on the executive branch or emasculate it of its powers. We do so in order to help government, the presidency even, remedy deficiencies in the delivery of public services and recalibrate ineffective policies. This Senate, under my leadership, however, will be one to solve problems more than it would find faults. While probes are magnets for publicity, and I learned this from the father of Sani Angara, Senator Ed Angara, it is the policies, laws patiently written line by line away from the limelight that drives progress. But for us to do our role, we must uphold the Senate's proud tradition of being independent. And that is important because the Senate's independence is a linchpin of its two other hallmarks, industry and innovation. Generations of our predecessors, whose names are etched on the wall leading to this hall, have exercised this to the benefit of our people. The Senate, therefore, is not an office of 24 receiving clerks for executive proposals. We will improve what has been proposed to us as we initiate our own. We do so not because we are rivals of power or for power for the other branch, but because we are partners for progress. We do so not to compete for influence, but to cooperate for the ways and means on how to bring the nation forward. This stance, practiced by all the Senates which had sat before us, has been the proven formula on how this chamber has been able to uphold the interests of the Republic and promote the welfare of our people. Our vigilance has purged proposed laws of provisions that harm the people. Our insight, on the other hand, have maximized the gains of our people will reap from laws. When bills are unnecessarily complicated, we inject it with common sense. When bills attempt to overreach, we shield the vulnerable. And when proposed tax rates are higher than what is reasonable, we make them fair or we make them go away. When the suggested spending borders on the frivolous, we remind them to be frugal. And when problems remain unattended, we come up with solutions. Not even the COVID-19 pandemic prevented the Senate before us from making emergency bills like Bayanihan 1 and Bayanihan 2 evolve into superior pieces of legislation despite having to conduct business remotely because every man and woman in this chamber rose to that occasion. Today, my dear colleagues, we will troop to the Batasan to hear President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. perform his constitutional duty of telling us the state of the nation. For sure, he will be asking Congress to support initiatives that will address the people's clamor for jobs, bring down prices of basic goods, affordable food, humane transport, among other relief measures. And when he enumerates them, my dear friends, let us view them in the proper context. That this is not a presidential wish list he crafted on his own, but a president articulating what the people want. So let us respond to what the people want urgently. And let us do it through the time-honored fashion by which the Senate has acted upon during times of crisis, by harnessing the best ideas from our brightest can offer. So the cures will not just bring temporary relief, but also permanently release our people from what ails them. Acting on this urgent request, I will also allow us to redeem the campaign promises and pledges that we have made. This will be the first down payment of what we owe the people for the mandate they have gifted us with. So let us come up with bills that deliver a big payload of solutions to the big problems of the land, what the people truly want, that will improve their lives, and not just pogi points for the Senate. Laws that will bring social good, not just social media hits. Jobs created, hunger reduced, inflation slashed, GNP growth, houses built, higher school test scores, and middle class expanded are the metrics that should gauge our performance instead of likes, shares, and views. Legislation must not lag behind the social, economic, and technological curve, my dear colleagues. It also must be ahead of what the people want. This requires scrutinizing the budget so that the tax payments will be spent on things that will go or do greater good rather than to those, or to do greater good to those who pay them. If there's one mission that should animate the Senate of the 19th Congress, it is an overriding theme. Then it must be a Senate of national reconstruction. But the recovery that we should work for together is not merely returning to where we were once before. It is catapulting ourselves to a better place than the past. And as we buckle down to work, let me issue some invitations. To the public, let me assure you that this is not only a multitasking Senate, it is also a crowdsourcing one. We value your ideas because this upper chamber will never be an echo chamber. To my fellow Senate workers, to the men and women of the Secretariat, in these trying times when so many expect so much from so few of us, the people expect no less than your hard work and professionalism. To my dear, dear colleagues in the majority, I remain with you in the trenches. I see no perks in this position. I temporarily hold this position through your grace, except the duty to work even harder. To my friends in the minority, I was once a loyal soldier of the opposition. And if there's one lesson I've carried with me ever since, it is that the strength of an idea is what makes it right, and not the sheer number of its believers. Let us debate and embrace ideas without regard from where they came from. My dear colleagues, my leadership will be one of consultation. Our output will be through consensus building. And if former Senate President Tito Sen was a father figure to all of us, then allow me to be your brother that will walk with you during these challenging times. Yes, my dear friends, no Senate in the past faced challenges as demanding and daunting as this one before us. But with hard work and dedication, we will deliver for the people. We shall help them overcome. The war against the pandemic is not yet over. The battle in many fronts is about to get worse. There is a future to be won. Let us go to our battle stations and fight to uplift our people's lives and make our nation even greater than before. Mabuhay ang Senado at mabuhay ang Pilipinas. Maraming salamat po.
So yan ang mga kabombo ang kaunanahang talumpati bilang Senate President ni Senator Migs Zubiri. So talagang puno ng kanyang pakiusap, apila at ginarin ay ibuhos yung energy ng lahat ng mga senador sa mga kakaraping problema ng ating bansa ang panawagan ng bagong Senate President. Bombo Raymond, please come back, Bombo Raymond.
Parang hindi ready, hindi prepared, yung talumpati niya. Parang hindi inasahan dahil nakahandang-handa na pala yung kanyang babasahin na mensahe. So talagang sabi nga, talagang okay na, formality na lamang kanina yung kanyang eleksyon bilang Senate President ng 19th Congress. At ito yung kanyang binibigyan din na yung kanyang liderato ay magiging consultative at walang manipulasyon ng kapangyarihan at lahat daw ay ang kapangyarihan ay pag-aari ng bawat isa sa 24 mga senador, Bombo Elmar. So dapat daw mahal silang magdebate ng mga opinyon, mga ideya, saan man ito nanggaling. Basta ito ay para sa, kumbaga, ay pagkakaroon ng konsensus para magabuo ng mga solusyon at hindi maghanap lamang ng, kumbaga, ng pagkakamali. Yun ang gusto niya, yung solution finding, hindi fault finding, yung magiging liderato ni Senate President Juan Miguel Migs Zubiri, Bombo Elmar.
Sige, stabay ka muna dyan, Bombo Raymond. Hindi lamang ang aksyon na nangyayari dyan sa Senado, sa Pasay City, kundi doon mismo sa Kongreso ng Kamara Representantes. Kunin naman natin ang ating linya dyan sa Kamara. Bombo Raymond, standby ka muna, Bombo Raymond. Okay, Bombo Raymond, standby ka muna dyan, Bombo Raymond, kung saan nga ay hindi lamang dyan sa Senado ang binabanggit ko, kundi maging doon sa Kamara, yung action din na nangyari doon sa pagpili din ng mga bagong leader at bagong mga committee chairmanship at iba pa. Maraming salamat. Standby ka lamang muna dyan, Bombo Raymond, huwag kang bibitaw dyan, babalikan kita dyan at kunin naman tayo ng linya dyan sa Kamara. Kung wala pa si Anali, ibigay na lang ni Anali, Bombo Anali, itong kanyang video, sa nangyayari ngayon dyan, dahil sa may mga nomination dyan, katulad ng anak ng presidente na si Sandro Marcos ay nagtatalumpati rin at iba pa para naman sa bagong House Speaker dyan sa Kamara. Nandiyan ang Kamara. Please go ahead. Dyan sa Kamara. Go ahead.
But let me quote excerpts from it. Representative Romualdez can shepherd the bills that can help our country as skillfully as he can stop the ones that harm our people. He knows the policies that need to be crafted and the pragmatism to get them passed. I am confident that with him, a constitutionalist at the helm, he will keep the plenary a hospitable space for all opinions while keeping the conveyor belt of laws moving. In these trying times, he is the leader we need who could marshal our collective will and wisdom in tackling the brave and bold things that must be done. It is therefore my honor to work with him as our Speaker. I so move, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Alright, yan si Congressman Ralph Recto ng Batangas. Nagasagawa rin ng nomination sa mga oras na to at kanilang iniluluklok bilang bagong House Speaker itong si Congressman Romualdez ng Leyte bilang susunod naman na House Speaker. Ang pagkakaiba kasi dito sa Kamara, ang Secretary General ang nagsilbing presider doon sa kanilang inaugural session sa nagaganap ngayon. So patuloy yung mga congressman, kanya-kanya sila ng nomination. Katulad sa pinarinig natin kanina, yung mga senador nag-second the motion at sila naman ay sumusuporta din dyan sa Kamara kung pagluklok nila rito kay Congressman Romualdez bilang next. Siya kasi ang acting floor leader. Kaya naman, ang kanyang formality na lamang actually ito, yung ginagawa naman dyan sa Kamara bago naman gawin mamaya ang joint session ng Kongreso. So, patuloy yung napakahaba nito, kung ilang tatayo dyan na mga congressman magsasagawa ng talumpati ng kanilang nomination. Balikan natin diyan pa rin sa Kamara sa kanilang nomination para naman kay bagong House Speaker Romualdez. Balikan natin.
Mr. Presiding Officer, I move that the distinguished representative from the 1st District of Antipolo City, the Honorable Roberto V. Puno, be recognized to second the nomination.
The distinguished representative from the 1st District of Antipolo City, the Honorable Roberto V. Puno, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. Mr. Presiding Officer, on behalf of the officers and members of the National Unity Party, it is my esteemed privilege and honor to second the nomination of the distinguished gentleman from the 1st Legislative District of Leyte, the Honorable Ferdinand Martin Romualdez, as the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Mr. Presiding Officer, I have known the nominee, Congressman Romualdez, since 2007, when we both entered into the halls of Congress as neophyte congressmen of the 14th Congress. I know him to be a man of intelligence, a man of integrity, a man of industry. Our nation needs someone who is familiar with the pulse of the nation and with the rigors and adversities of leadership. It is my humble submission that Honorable Ferdinand Martin Gomez Romualdez is best suited to undertake the role of Speaker of the 19th Congress. I so move, Mr. Presiding Officer. Thank you.
Mr. Presiding Officer, I move that the distinguished representative from the Lone District of Las Piñas, the Honorable Camille A. Villar, be recognized to second the nomination.
The distinguished representative from the Lone District of Las Piñas City, the Honorable Camille A. Villar, is recognized.
Mr. Presiding Officer, it is with great honor on behalf of the Nationalista Party that I second the nomination of the Honorable Ferdinand Martin Romualdez of the 1st Legislative District of Leyte as the Speaker of the House of Representatives of the 19th Congress. Representative Romualdez is a dedicated public servant who champions the welfare of the Filipino people, a statesman who preserves the integrity and unity of this institution, a leader whose ultimate vision is the greatness of this nation. I so move, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Si Bomboan, yung nangyayari pa rin dyan sa kamera. Paki-describe, Bomboan Ali. Bomboan, please come back.
Yes, Bombo Elmar, nagsimula na nga ang nominasyon dito nga sa pagka-House Speaker ng 19th Congress. Si Ilocos Norte Representative Sandro Marcos ang nag-nominate para kay Leyte 1st District Representative Martin Romualdez bilang kandidato nga para sa House Speakership. At sinundan ito ni Batangas 6th District Representative Ralph Recto. Sa ngayon, Bombo Elmar, batay din sa roll call na isinagawa kanina, may kabuuang 315 members na mga House members ang meron ngayon ang 19th Congress. Pero nasa 309 lamang ngayon ang present, Bombo Elmar. Napag-alaman natin na si Representative Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, ang dating Pangulo, ay hindi nakadalo ngayon dahil nga siya nagpositibo sa COVID-19. So inaabangan natin, Bombo Elmar, pero malinaw na parang itong si Representative Martin Romualdez ang susunod na House Speaker ng 19th Congress dito sa House of Representatives. So, yan, no? At ongoing pa susunod na maging majority leader at ang susunod na House Sergeant at Arms at yung House Secretary General Bombo Elmar. Going pa sa ngayon yung session dito nga sa plenary hall ng House of Representatives, Bombo Elmar.
Balikan kita dyan, Bomboan, ha? Balikan natin sa Senado kung nandiyan na si Raymond. Dahil nagkakaroon na sila ngayon ng mga nominasyon na, yung mga committee na napakahaba pa kasi gagawin dyan sa Kamara, Bomboan. Balikan natin yung Senado kung nandiyan na siguro o baka pasok. Maraming salamat si Bombo Nalay Soberano dyan po naman sa Kamara. Yung Senado muna, dahil sa nagkakaroon na ng pagpili ng mga chairmanship ng komite. Please come back, Bombo Raymond, o sa inyong video dyan sa Senado. Go ahead. Okay. Si Senator Bato. Okay.
A profound sense of honor that I stand to make this nomination. Senator Lauren Ligarda is known to be the lady who leads. And I, for obvious reasons, cannot help but agree. Since it is not every day that I get to speak about inspiring figures who need no introduction, I will gladly tell this august body and the rest of the world about Senator Lauren Ligarda. Because she hails from a family of public servants, it should come as no surprise that Senator Lauren decided to take the same path for herself. She is a four-term senator, which means that among all of us in this chamber, she is certainly the most senior. Most senior at hindi lang dahil sa tagal niya sa Senado, Mr. President, kundi dahil sa dami at kalidad ng mga batas na kanyang naipasa. She has been consistent in promoting livelihood, advocating for the development of cultural villages, and pushing for the protection of indigenous people's rights. The cultural communities in Mindanao have adopted her as a bay matumpis, which translates to the one who takes care. There are countless other things and qualities that one can say about Senator Loren, but I would like to stop there, Mr. President, with the fact that she has also earned the title of being the one who cares. Pairing that up with the lady who leads, we get the picture of the kind of leadership we can look forward to, with Senator Loren Legarda as our Senate President pro tempore. She is the lady who leads not just with vision and with determination, but more importantly, with care. As early as this first day of the first regular session of the 19th Congress, I can already say that it is and will always be an honor to submit to the leadership of this lady. Mr. President, I respectfully nominate Senator Loren Legarda for the position of Senate President pro tempore.
Thank you very much, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa.
Mr. President, with the consent of the body, there being no other nominations, I move that the period of nomination be closed and that we elect Senator Loren Legarda as President pro tempore of the Senate. So move, Mr. President.
Before I act on that motion, Mr. Majority Leader, on a personal note, I would like to also say as well that Senator Legarda is probably the only member of the Senate now who has come from the 11th Congress. And that makes her senior in terms of wisdom, not because of age, but because of wisdom and experience. But also on a personal note, I actually enjoy her company every night. Not because we see each other every night. It's because after I watch the news, I always watch her show Dayaw at late evenings, and I always get to enjoy that beautiful show of culture and the arts, and we thank her for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, my dear colleagues, there being no objection to the motion of our dear Majority Floor Leader, the motion is therefore approved. The Chair proclaims Senator Loren Legarda as having been elected as Senate President pro tempore. Congratulations. May I ask and request Senator Loren Legarda and her family to ascend to the rostrum for the oath-taking. I ask for a session suspended to allow the family to come up.
So yan mga kabomba, no? Senate pro tempore na. Abay, next to the Senate President yung si Senator Loren Legarda. Lumalabas dito, Bombo Raymond, kung tutusin siya palang pinaka-senior, Senator Loren Legarda. Mula pa sa 11th Congress, ngayon 19th Congress na. So nagbabalik siya, naging congressman, at ngayon ay balik Senado itong si Senator Loren Legarda bilang Senate pro tempore. So nangyari ngayon sa Senado, mga kabombo sa nation, pagpili na ng mga committee chairmanship, ito yung napakahalaga na dyan sa Senado. So katatapos lamang formal na mahalal itong si Senator Loren Legarda. Balikan natin dyan sa Kamara, kung dyan si Bombo Anali Soberano. Balikan natin, Bombo An, at makaganapan din. Patuloy pa rin ang nomination dyan sa Kamara. Please come back, Kamara.
There is a motion to close the table for nominations for Speaker of the House of Representatives. Is there any objections? The Chair hears none. The motion is carried.
Mr. Presiding Officer, I move that we now proceed with the election of the Speaker of the House of Representatives.
There's a motion to proceed to the election of the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Is there any objection? The Chair hears none. The election of the Speaker of the House of Representatives is now in order. The Deputy Secretary General of the Legislative Operations Department will now call the roll of members. May I request every member to state the name of the candidate he or she is voting for a Speaker of the House of Representatives upon being called.
Roll call of members, honorable representatives.
Abalos.
So yan mga kabombo, tatawagin yung mga congressman, 300 plus ito. Kung anong boto nyo po, kung kayo pa'y pumapabor doon kay Congressman Martin Romualdez bilang next speaker. Pero sabi nga dito, ayos lang boto-boto nito, ito yung formality na lamang para mahalal biglang bagong House of Representatives Speaker of the House, si late Congressman Martin Romualdez. So roll ko lang mangyayari ngayon, mga kabombo. 309 ang present at 315 lahat. Balikan natin sa Senado muna, Dalan sa pabalik-balik po tayo nito, dalawang action ngayon. Balik tayo ng Senado sa Pasay City. Bombo Raymond, please come back.
Yes, tama ka dyan, Bombo Elmar. So yun nga, na-elect itong si Senator Loren Lagarda bilang Senate President pro tempore. So ito, ano nga ba ang function? Usually, ang Senate President pro tempore, siya yung kumbaga nag-preside in the absence of the Senate President. So Senate President, so siya yung kumbaga tahahalili habang wala ang Senate President Bombo Elmar sa pag-preside ng mga Senate hearing, lalo na sa plenaryo, Bombo Elmar. So yun, ongoing pa sa mga butuhan din, nominasyon para sa mga chairmanship. Pero yun nga, ay tapos na talaga. Nagka-arigluhan na, meron na silang mga kanya-kanyang mga committee chairmanship at ito na lang ay kunwari ay magbubutuhan na lamang para naman for the record ay talagang pinagbutuhan at magiging formal and official yung kanilang eleksyon bilang chairperson ng isang komite, Bombo Elmar. So abangan natin lamang itong kung matutuloy ngang makuha ni neophyte Senator Robin Padilla yung kanyang inaasam na pagiging chairman ng Senate Committee on Constitutional Amendments, Bombo Elmar. So dahil marami yung mga kumbaga kumukontra dahil daw hindi naman siya abogado. So yan, tingnan natin dahil numero lang naman yan at kumbaga kung meron naman silang mga kasunduan, Bombo Elmar.
Naalala ko rin sinabi ni Senator Mig Zubiri, kakausapin niya si Robin Hood Padilla kung gusto talaga niya maging chairman nitong binabanggit mo na napakalagang committee na amyenda sa Ligang Batas na nilalayon nga. Sige, balikan natin yung ganapan dyan, Bombo Raymond, sa Senado. Balikan natin muna yung video feed natin.
The Senate President pro tempore position, I am truly humbled by the support given by my distinguished colleagues to lead this august chamber, which I consider my home for 18 years. Maraming salamat pong muli sa mahigit 24 na milyong Pilipino na nagtiwala at nagbigay sa akin ng pagkakataong muling maglingkod bilang 4-term senator. When I first entered the halls of Congress 24 years ago, I was just a novice in the political arena, hoping to make a change in our country. My exposure to our society's ills as a young journalist led me to take on the role of a public servant, a senator of the Republic, and I have then vowed to work tirelessly to find solutions to our country's problems. That was way back in 1998. I was all of 38 years old then. Today, I stand before you as the most senior senator, having come full circle with 18 years of experience in the Senate and 3 years of experience in the House of Representatives. Indeed, it has been a fulfilling journey, but our sojourn has not yet come to an end. Hindi pa po tapos ang ating trabaho. Over the last 20 years, we have enacted laws, programs, policies. We have forwarded, supported, contributed to advocacies that better our country. From peacekeeping negotiations and humanitarian missions to the pandemic of present day, we have continued to forge on our commitment to assist those who are in need, to the vulnerable, underprivileged, and deprived. Sa ating pagbangon mula sa pandemya, iisa lamang ang ating layunin para sa ating bansa. Magkaroon ng pangmatagalang kapayapaan, wakasan ang kahirapan. Ituloy ang ating mga programa para sa mahihirap at makamit ang pambansang pagbangon at pag-unlad. We have advocated for green development, having authored laws on environmental governance, protection of the environment, conservation of our natural resources. having traversed the country and learned about our rich cultural heritage, we continue to support projects that promote and showcase the exceptional skills and the world-class products of our indigenous people, our culture bearers. Hindi rin po mawawala sa ating mga layunin ang mga programa sa kalusugan, edukasyon, trabaho at kabuhayan. Ilan lamang po ito sa mga advokasya na sinisiguro natin mapopondohan nung tayo po ay nanilbihan bilang chair ng Senate Committee on Finance at hanggang ngayon. We introduced and sponsored vital amendments in the budget allocation for various sectors to ensure that the national budget sponsored socio-economic services, providing subsidies for free public tertiary education, additional funding for state universities and colleges, free healthcare services in government hospitals, free irrigation services for small farmers, budget for social welfare programs, increased funding to support rural livelihoods, and micro, small, and medium enterprises. The pathway towards pandemic recovery is through the economic empowerment of every Filipino. That means supporting our MSMEs, 99.51% of the country's businesses, and are responsible for an estimated 5.3 million jobs or 62.66% of the country's employment, bolstering the efficiency of our health sector as part of our vital investments in our human capital by pushing for the full implementation of the Universal Health Care Act. My fellow senators, my dear colleagues, friends, we have a great deal of work ahead of us. It is not a cakewalk. We cannot do this unilaterally. And for this distinct privilege to work for you and to work with you, I am forever grateful. Thank you for this opportunity to serve as your Senate President pro tempore under the leadership of Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri as we steer the 19th Congress towards its objectives. Sa loob ng 21 taon, malawak na po ang naging karanasan natin bilang inyong mababatas sa mataas at mababang kapulungan. Malayo na rin po ang ating narating, ngunit marami pa rin po tayong kailangan gawin. Handa po akong salubungin ng buong puso ang bagong tungkulin na inyong iniatang po sa akin. Umaasa kayo na aking gagampanan ito sa tulong ninyo para sa bawat Pilipino. I stand before you now, excited as I was in 1998, filled with hope. I may be the most senior senator in terms of tenure, not of age. And I look at Senator Amy Marcos now, many of whom call me Tita with fondness, but this Tita stands before you with the same determination to serve you and the Filipino people. Now, more than ever, we have to foster unity and good governance for a free, inclusive, sustainable, and resilient Philippines. Maraming salamat po.
Congratulations to our new Senate President pro tempore, Ma'am Lauren, Majority Floor Leader.
Alright, katatapos lamang talumpati ng bagong Senate Pro Tempore Lauren Ligarda at balikan natin sa Majority Leader Joel Villanueva to, Bombo Raymond. So patuloy pa yung committee chairmanship, Bombo Raymond hindi pa talaga, although nabanggit mo na kanina sa mga reports din natin Bombo Raymond, na meron ng mga pangalan, pero may mga abangan pa siguro tayo dito ng mga surprises sa Bombo Raymond.
That's right, Bombo Elmar. At marami-rami yung committee chairmanship. So 24 sila. Lahat yan halos ay mayroong mga hawak na komite. Maliban ay wala pang malinaw para kay Senator Alan Peter Cayetano. So siya lamang yung doon sa listahan na kumbaga na pag-agrian na noong as of July pa ay siya yung wala. Pero lahat meron na, kumbaga talagang pinaghati-hatian na, may sharing na ng committee chairmanship para wala nang away, ika nga. Kaya nga nagkaroon ng consensus na itong si Senator Zubiri, ang kanila magiging, ika nga ay Senate President Bombo Elmar.
Alam mo, Bombo Raymond, dito sa Bombo News Center Makati, ihiwalay muna ako sa isya. Malakas ang ulan dito. Kumusta ang lugar mo dyan sa Pasay City? Magkalapit lang tayo, Bombo Raymond.
Well, dito sa Kikilalagyan. Makulimlim na, Bombo Elmar. At medyo may manaka-naka ng pag-ambon, pero mahina pa lang naman. Pero ito kanina, napansin mo siguro, Bombo Elmar, kanina ay maliwanag na maliwanag dito, araw na araw. Ngayon ay medyo dumilim yung dati ng madilim na mukha ko dahil makulimlim na yung kalangitan. At harinawa ay wag mo na. Tapusin muna yung reporting ko dito. Baka mamaya bigla kayo natin pumasok sa loob ng Senado. Doon pa naman, hindi tayo, kumbaga mas maganda yung signal dito. Bombo Elmar, makapag-report habang minumonitor natin yung mga ganapan sa loob sa plenaryo ng Senado, Bombo Elmar.
Sige, balik muna tayo sa loob ng Senado habang sa lungsod ng Makati ay napakalakas po ng buhos ng ulan at bigla na lamang bumuhos ng ulan. Napakaganda ng sikat ng araw. Balikan natin ang video feed mula mismo live yan sa Senado sa patuloy pa rin ng eleksyon ng mga committee chairmanship.
Several airing training centers across the country. TESDA achieved a zero notice of disallowance from the Commission on Audit or COA. TESDA earned the nationwide ISO certification, a first among the country's education agencies and second in the entire executive branch. He introduced innovative programs such as the free online programs and mobile training laboratories. He fostered closer industry partnerships which led to higher employability of our TechVoc graduates, among many others. In our opinion, his most important contribution at the time was to raise the profile of TESDA and technical vocational education in the minds of our people. He himself became a certified barista, a skill that may prove to be useful in the new role he is about to occupy in the Senate for those late nights with you, Mr. President. We are hoping TESDA can once again soar to those same heights under him and help our countrymen during these tough times for our people. His performance in TESDA, Mr. President, was so exemplary. It gave him that high national profile to help win a Senate seat in 2016, with the second highest number of votes among all the candidates at 18.4 million votes. And throughout his first term as senator, he was tireless as he chaired the committees on labor, employment, and human resources development, as well as higher technical and vocational education. He authored and co-authored critical pieces of legislation, such as the Doktor para sa Bayan Law, the Tulong Trabaho Law, the First Time Job Seekers Act, the Ladderized Education or the Philippine Qualifications Framework Act, the Occupational Safety and Health Standards Law, the Telecommuting or Work from Home Law, and the Free College Tuition or the Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education, UACTEA Act, among many others. Especially the creation or upgrading of state universities and colleges, Mr. President. Lagi pong sinasabi ni Senator Joel Villanueva na ang trabaho niya bilang legislador ay tiyaking walang panahong mawawalan ng oportunidad para sa trabaho, kabuhayan at kita ang bawat Pilipino. Sigurado po kami na ipagpapatuloy niya ito sa kanyang pangalawang termino dito sa Senado. Naniniwala po kami na bukod dito, malaki ang maitutulong niya para siguraduhin tumatakbo ng tama ang proseso ng paglilikha ng batas dito sa ating institusyon at mabibigyan ng sapat na pagkakataon ng bawat senador sa mayorya, sa minorya man o sa independent bloc man sila nakahanay. He is a loving husband to Mrs. Gladys Cruz Villanueva and a father to 2 young children. Kaya, Ginoong Presidente, malugod kong inihaharap ang aking nominasyon para sa posisyon ng Majority Floor Leader ng Senado sa darating na Kongreso, ang ating kaibigan at seatmate kay Senator Emmanuel Joel Testaman Villanueva. Maraming salamat po, mga kasamahan, Mr. President.
Maraming salamat, Senator Angara. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, may we recognize Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa for his nomination speech.
Senator De La Rosa, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, my esteemed colleagues, it is my distinct honor to rise today to nominate our distinguished colleague, Senator Joel Testaman Villanueva, as the chairperson of the Senate Committee on Rules, also known as BMW, the brother of migrant workers. Mr. President, BMW. Mr. President, Senator Joel has proven to us time and again that he is indeed worthy to be called a public servant in his own right. The hard work of our dear colleague has been constantly recognized beyond these walls of the Senate. In fact, our Testaman has recently been recognized as among 2022's People of the Year by Stargate People Asia magazine for his contributions to job creation for Filipinos and his campaign for skills training to generate world-class workers in the country. Mr. President, a chairperson of the Committee on Rules is a man who shows up with his untarnished perfect attendance and his consistently notable contributions as a legislator. I can attest that Senator Joel is not only a man who shows up, he is a man who shows up prepared and performs beyond expectation, even during pandemic and his period of mourning, kung saan siya ay nagluluksa sa sunod-sunod na pagkawala ng kanyang mahal sa buhay. Employing Ms. Senator Joel's advocacy of matching jobs and skills, it is indeed a perfect match for Senator Joel to lead the Committee on Rules and be our majority floor leader. He has already proven to us that he is the man. Now he is also the man for the job. I have only one request sa ating nominee. Please, Senator Joel, see to it that my good friend, Senator Francis Tolentino, will no longer complain about the disappearances of his local bills from the calendar of business. That is, yan lang ang kanyang requirement from you. And I therefore nominate Senator Joel Villanueva as chairman of the Committee on Rules for the 19th Congress. Thank you, Mr. President.
Maraming salamat, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa.
Mr. President, I believe that the honor also wants to be recognized for his nomination speech.
Yes, thank you, Majority Floor Leader. And if I may just place this on record, I don't want to leave the opportunity not to nominate my dear seatmate and my partner in the Majority Leader Committee on Rules at the last Congress. It is my pleasure to second the nomination of Senator Joel Villanueva as the chairman of the Committee on Rules for the 19th Congress. Senator Joel has proven himself a capable leader throughout his public service career, holding key roles as Deputy Minority Leader in the 13th Congress and Minority Leader of the Commission on Appointments while he was in the House, before serving as the Great Secretary of TESTA, during which time he emerged as an effective and innovative leader whose work has left a big impact on our country's tech vox sector, as lovingly declared by Ralph Recto in one rally that we were together in 2016 after Senator Joel Villanueva lengthily mentioned all the distinguished programs that he had placed in TESDA. Sabi po ni Senator Ralph Recto, napakagaling ni TESDA man, dapat ibalik sa TESDA si TESDA man. Pero nangyari po, nilulok ng taong bayan si Senator Joel Villanueva sa Senado. And ladies and gentlemen, we are richer for it. My dear colleagues, in the last two Congresses, he has not only been a reliable, hardworking, and passionate senator. As I mentioned, he readily and capably taken over the duties of Majority Leader whenever needed. With his experience and knowledge and his passion, I know that Senator Joel Testaman Villanueva will serve this august chamber well. We will be behind you, sir. We will support you every step of the way. It is my honor to nominate him as the next chairman of the Committee on Rules. Okay.
Mr. President, there being no other nominations, I move that we close the period of nomination and elect Senator Joel Villanueva as the chairman of the Committee on Rules.
Is there any objection? The chair hearing none, the motion is approved. There being no other candidate, the chair proclaims Senator Joel Villanueva as having been elected as the chairman of the Committee on Rules under the rules of the Senate. He is now our majority floor leader. Congratulations, sir. May I request Senator Villanueva and his family to ascend to the rostrum for the oath-taking. Session is suspended for... yes, Mr. President.
Alright, so next dito ay magtalagsagawa ng kanyang panunumpan itong Senator Joel Villanueva bilang formal na halal majority floor leader ng Senado. At the same time, siya po ang chairman ng Senate Rules. Si Senator Robin Hood Padilla.
Lakaan ng Senado na ako po ay umiiwas sa pagboto sa majority floor leader. Maraming salamat po.
That is placed on record. So may we now suspend session so that
nag-abstain
Senator Villanueva
umiiwas sa pagboto. Yun ang nakuha nating impormasyon, ano? Pero kahit meron pang pag-abstain, pag-iwas sa pagboto kay Senator Joel Villanueva, majority naman, ano, nag-concur naman yung iba, nag-second the motion para sa kanyang nominasyon. Ito, first time natin nakitang tumayo si Senator Robin Hood Padilla, isang neophyte senator, kaugnay po naman nagaganap ngayon. Diyan sa Kamara, ano, mga kabombo, iwan ko pansamantala sandali diyan sa Senado, patuloy pa yung kanilang nominasyon dito pag-elect ng bagong speaker. So napakahaba ito. So ongoing po kayo, nag-roll call ngayon ang Kamara Representantes para naman sa pagboto ng bawat congressman. Kung 315 yan, 309 ang present. So katawagin sila sa kung sila ay pabor dito sa bagong House Speaker. Pero so, sabi nga rito ng mga bago pa man na nagkaroon ng session ngayon sa Opening 19 Congress, ay meron ng usap-usapan yon behind the scenes na ito na yung kanilang mga bagong leader dyan sa Kamara at sa Senado. So patuloy po ang botohan dyan sa Kamara at yung pong titutukan natin ngayon, nakantabay natin ang ating mga Bombo News team. At sa Senado naman, yung ginagawa natin pag-antabay dyan, sa mga pag-nomina ng mga committee chairmanship, na siyang tatayo ng mga leader ng Senado sa bago nilang Kongreso ngayon, 19th Congress. At ito'y mamumuno ng mga committee chairmanship. At ito'y tapos na ang Senate President, ang Senate Pro Tempore, Majority Floor Leader, ito nga si Senator Joel Villanueva. So sa Kamara, pakinggan natin, pasilipin natin sa Kamara muli, Bombo Mar, sa pagkanilang roll call, voting. Balikan natin ang Kamara Representante sa Quezon City.
Kawagdan.
ROMUALDEZ.
Cardema.
Okay, so yan mga kabombo, talagang isa-isa kang tatawagin. Pwede kang mag-hands na lang, up yung hands mo na ikaw pabor o kaya hindi ka na magsalita. So pass ka lang muna, So yung iba niya nagsasalita. So balikan natin sa Senado ngayon, mga kabombo, Nation, balikan natin ng panunumpa ni Sir Joel.
Myself voluntarily,
Without mental reservation
or
purpose of evasion. So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations,
Thank
sir.
you.
So yung misis ni Senator Joel, yung nagtayo ng katabi niya, siyang humawak doon sa kanyang kasulatan sa kanyang panunumpa, nagsilbing witness, so formal na po pa Sir Joel Villanueva bilang Majority Floor Leader diyan sa Senado. Siya po ay katuwang. Balikan natin ang kaganapan pa rin sa Senado.
Majority Leader.
Mahaba,
Mr. President, I will be recognized.
Yes,
Thank
Majority
you.
Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. The distinguished lady from Akbayan wishes to be recognized. May she be recognized, Mr. President.
May we recognize the distinguished lady, Senator Risa Ontiveros.
Salamat kaayo, Mr. President. It is my honor on the part of the minority to officially make it of record our designation of Senator Aquilino Coco Pimentel III as Minority Leader. Senator Pimentel, Mr. President, who is a friend of long-standing since our college days in the historic early to late 1980s, a veteran lawmaker, a former Senate President, no less, and I'm sure will make an excellent minority leader. Just like his father, the late great Senator Canene Pimentel, who once served this august hall as Senate President, then as Minority Leader. I am certain that, like his father, and by the way, Mr. President, they will be for the first time the father and son tandem who would have served both as SP and as Minority Leader. I am certain that Senator Pimentel will help maintain the independence of the Philippine Senate, an institution crucial to our democracy, an institution we all hold dear. Daghang salamat, Mr. President, for the record.
Thank you very much, distinguished lady senator. And for the record,
Alright, iwan muna natin pansamalata ang Senado. Kaganapan naman sa Kamara Representantes kasama na mga balakin din ng Pangulong Bongbong Marcos itong gaganaping SONA. Bombo Dennis Samito, kumusta kaganapan dyan sa Kamara at ganyan rin sa mga nakuang impormasyon mula sa Malacanang. Bombo Dennis, go ahead.
Yes, Bombo Elmar, handang-handa na itong talumpati ng Pangulong Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. At ayon nga sa kanyang kampo ay magdudulot ng kasiyahan. Hindi natin alam kung papaanong magdudulot ng kasiyahan, pero ito yung patikim, Bombo Elmar, dahil yung talumpati hindi gaano mahaba. Pero magkakaroon daw ng ilang punto na katutuwaan, ikagagalak ng ating mga kababayan. So yan yung ating aantabayanan. Nakarating na ang initial convoy na nanggaling sa Palasyo Malacanang at medyo naantala ng ilang sandali dahil nga doon sa mga kilos protesta na isinasagawa na sa kahabaan ng Commonwealth dyan pa rin sa bahagi ng Quezon City. So sa ngayon, yung ilang mga kasamahan namin dito na nanggaling din sa Palasyo Malacanang, nakaset up na, Bombo Elmar, kagaya din ng iba pa ay dumaan ito sa mga susi na inspeksyong pang-seguridad. Dumaan kami sa tatlong layer ng security at ito ay bilang pagtalima doon sa hinihingi na paghihigpit ng Presidential Security Group, Bombo Elmar.
Bombo Dennis, salamat sa impormasyon. So, Bombo Dennis, nadaanan nyo rin pala itong lugar ng Commonwealth, nagsagawa pa ng kilos protesta sa mga pero understand hanggang alas 12 lamang ng katanghalian yan. Unless otherwise, kung mag-extend pa yung grupo dyan ng mga oposisyon o kaya mga kritiko ng administrasyon na nagsagawa ng kilos protesta. What about yung mga pro-Marcos rallies, Bombo Dennis? May lugar ba kayo nadaanan dyan? Kumusta rin?
Yes, may setup na rin sila, may entablado ng nakahanda para doon sa mga pro-Marcos na magkakandak ng hiwalay na aktibidad. At ito'y parte ng kumbaga na-expect na ng Quezon City Police District at NCRPO. So nakasetup na yung kanilang entablado. Yan ay mas malapit dito sa ating kinalalagyan at siguro mga kalahating kilometro ay nandyan yung kanilang setup ng pagdarausan ng programa. Sa mga nakalipas na pagkakataon, may pro at anti program naman, Bombo Elmar. Pero sa ngayon ay mismong yung logo ng SONA ng Pangulong Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos, yun din ang logo na kanilang ginagamit. So titignan natin mamaya, medyo kakaiba yung mga mangyayari dito, lalo't sila yung parang magsisilbi pa na blockade kung sakasakaling magpupumilit yung mga anti-Marcos protesters sa Bombo Elmar.
Bombo Dennis, anong oras kaya pupunta dyan ang Pangulong Marcos dyan sa Kamara? Meron bang mga itinakda na, mga abiso dyan sa inyo? Dahil nung report natin man nakalipas na araw, kaya ng umaga pa, sinasabi may mga options ang Pangulong Marcos. Pwedeng by land from Malacanang sa lugar dyan sa lungsod ng Maynila, o kaya naman by air, Bombo Dennis, sa kanyang presidential chopper. How's that, Bombo Dennis?
On the dot, Bombo Elmar, darating yung convoy, itong si Pangulong Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. Yan yung sinasabi sa atin, on the dot. Kagaya ng nangyari nung change of command doon sa Philippine Air Force, rain or shine, tuloy ang biyahe ng Pangulong Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. Yun, may mga option na tinitignan. Nagkaroon na rin ng clearing dito sa area ng landing area, Bombo Elmar. Nasa likurang parte ko lang ito kung tutuusin, Bombo Elmar. Sa likuran natin, dyan yung helipad, dyan lalapag yung presidential chopper. Pero syempre, may decoy, so hindi garantiha na kung may lalapag dyan, yan na yung sinasakyan ng Pangulong Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos. So pwede din yung other option na sinasabi natin kanina, yung by land. Pero syempre, kung dadaan nga naman doon sa may mga area ng may mga nagkikilos protesta, medyo hassle yan, Bombo Elmar. So kinakailangan ng ilang adjustment, silang mga hakbang na makakatulong para i-secure yung ating Pangulo, Bombo Elmar.
Okay, sa ibang usapin, Bombo Elmar, kanina about 11:30 more or less yan ng umaga. Dito sa lungsod ng Makati, sa Bombo News Center, bumuhos ang napakalakas na ulan. What about now, as of this moment, dyan sa lugar ng Quezon City, dinaanan nyo, Bombo Dennis, dilan sa, syempre, maraming nakaabang, may mga nagrarally dyan, at yung mga dami ng mga anti-riot police at mga policemen na nasa lugar. Kumusta ang lagay ng paro ngayon yan dyan, Bombo Dennis, sa Batasan Complex?
Yes, mainit ang lagay ng panahon dito, Bombo Elmar. Maliwalas ang panahon, medyo malinsangan na nga. Dito sa lugar namin, kung saan ay napakarami din ang nagdadatingan ng mga tao, ay medyo ramdam na umiinit ang temperatura, Bombo Elmar. Dito sa weather outlook na tinitingnan natin sa pamamagitan ng Pag-asa Himawari data, ay mga alas 2 ng hapon magkakaroon ng pagbuhos ng ulan at mga habang kasagsagan ng SONA ng Pangulong Bongbong Marcos. Yan naman yung sinasabi na posible at lantad sa thunderstorm dito sa area ng Quezon City. So yan yung aantabayanan din natin, Bombo Elmar.
Alright, balikan ko yung nagaganap ngayon na butuhan sa Kamara, Bombo Dennis, para sa speakership. Yung experience mo, the past SONA coverages natin, nakapakatagal pala nito, Bombo Dennis, tatawagin isa-isa yung mga mamabatas katulad sa nangyayari ngayon dyan. So that means, Bombo Dennis, baka lampas ng alas 12 ng tanghali, hindi pa tapos yung sesyon dyan sa Kongreso. Ganun ba, Bombo Dennis, usually nangyayari pag ganyan? Bago ang mismong actual SONA ng Pangulong Marcos sa alas 4 ng hapon, Bombo Dennis.
Yes, nangyari na yan, Bombo Elmar, sa nakalipas na administrasyon kung saan ay nagkaroon ng biglaang pagpapalit ng liderato mula kay Congressman, mula sa dating House Speaker patungo dun kay former House Speaker at former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Nagkaroon ng, kumbaga, lull moment, Bombo Elmar. Natinggan ng medyo matagal, kaya hindi agad nakapagpatuloy yung proseso dito sa Kamara de Representantes. That time, ay yan yung naging sagabal. Pero hari nawa, sabi naman, hindi na daw ito mangyayari dahil kumbaga planchado na, formality na lamang ang kailangan dito sa leadership ng House at ganun din ang Senate.
Bombo Dennis, sige, babalikan kita mamaya dyan sa Kamara de Representantes. Maraming salamat, Bombo Dennis.
Yan pa rin ang update mula sa Kamara de Representantes. Ako si Bombo Dennis, hamito para sa Pambansang Radyo ng Pilipinas, Basta Radio, Bombo!
So yan, mga kabombo sa nation, latest development na nangyari dyan sa Kamara de Representantes. Inabangan pa rin dyan ang Pangulong Marcos. Gina rin ay patuloy pa rin yung ginagawa ng butuhan ng mga congressman para naman sa bagong liderato, bagong House Speaker para naman sa 19th Congress. Balikan natin ang Senado, makaganapan pa rin. Patuloy nang ginaganap nilang sa ayos ng mga committee chairmanship bago sila tumungo naman dyan sa Kamara para sa joint session mamayang hapon. At balikan natin, Bombo Mark, kung anong kaganapan dyan. Please come back ang ating video kasama si Bombo Raymond Tinasa. Ating live feed, dyan sa Kamara. Narito po. O sa Senado, narito po. Okay. I-check natin yung signal dyan sa Senado, Bombo Raymond.
Yes, Bombo Elmar. Kumusta ang signal ko dyan, Bombo Elmar?
Okay, you're back, Bombo Raymond on air. So, it's good na walang ulan dyan, Bombo Raymond. Kami dito.
Kanina, Bombo Elmar, and kaya kami, sumilong muna kami dahil bigla, iba kanina, matirik ang araw, kumulimlim, sabi ko sa iyo kanina, na bigla, umulan ng malakas, biglaan. Kaya sumilong muna kami dahil ngayon na naman ay bigla naman na tumirik na naman ang araw. So hindi mo ma-spelling ang panahon talaga. Well, hindi lang dito, maging dyan siguro sa bahagi ng Makati City, Bombo Elmar. So kanina rin, siguro bilang recap din, Bombo Elmar ay post naman bilang Senate Minority Leader itong kababayan sa Region 10 ni Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri, itong si Senator Aquilino Pimentel III, Bombo Elmar, at isa o si Coco Pimentel ang magiging minority leader. Kasama na dyan sina Senator Risa Ontiveros, Bombo Elmar. So ongoing pa rin at makikita sa aking likuran, nagsisi-uwian na, nagsisi-alisan na, siguro papunta na sa House of Representatives yung mga membro ng Diplomatic Corps na kasama rito kanina sa opening session naman ng Senado, Bombo Elmar. So balikan natin siguro yung nagpapatuloy pa rin na session dito sa mga taas na kapulungan ng Kongreso, Bombo Elmar.
Okay, kuha natin ang direct video, live feed, dyan sa Senado. Si Senate President Mig Zubiri.
Majority Leader. Yes, Mr. President, this juncture I move that we now consider proposed Senate Resolution number 1.
Is there any objection? There being none, the motion is approved. Consideration of proposed Senate Resolution 1 is now in order. The Secretary will read the title and text of the resolution.
Proposed Senate Resolution Number 1, informing His Excellency the President of the Philippines that the Senate has been organized with the election of its officers and that this body has entered upon the exercise of its functions for the first regular session of the 19th Congress of the Philippines. Resolved by the Senate that His Excellency the President of the Philippines be informed that the Senate has been organized with the election of its officers and that this body has entered upon the exercise of its functions for the first regular session of the 19th Congress of the Philippines. Adopted, Joel Villanueva, Senator.
Mr. President, with the consent of the body, Mr. President, I move that we adopt proposed Senate Resolution Number 1. So move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? There being none, the motion is approved.
Mr. President, at this juncture, I move that we consider proposed Senate Resolution Number 2. So move, Mr. President.
Is there an objection? There being none, the motion is approved. Consideration of the proposed Senate Resolution Number 2 is now in order. The Secretary will read the title and text of the resolution.
Proposed Senate Resolution Number 2, informing the House of Representatives that the Senate has been organized with the election of its officers and that this body has entered upon the exercise of its functions for the first regular session of the 19th Congress of the Philippines. Resolved by the Senate that the House of Representatives be informed that the Senate has been organized with the election of its officers and that the body has entered upon the exercise of its functions for the first regular session of the 19th Congress of the Philippines. Adopted, signed, Joel Villanueva, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we adopt proposed Senate Resolution Number 2. So move, Mr. President.
Is there an objection? The Chair hearing none, the motion is approved. Please proceed.
Mr. President, at this juncture, we are in a receipt of a message from the House of Representatives. May I ask the Secretary to read the message for the record?
I believe the Senate Secretary just relayed to me that the message has not yet arrived, so we can skip this portion, Your Honor. Let's proceed with the adoption of House Concurrent Resolution.
Therefore, Mr. President, I move that we adopt House Concurrent Resolution Number 1. I so move, Mr. President.
The Chair, is there any objection? Chair hearing none, the motion is approved. Consideration of House Concurrent Resolution Number 1 is now in order. The Secretary will read the resolution.
House Concurrent Resolution Number 1, providing for the Senate and the House of Representatives to hold a joint session to hear the message of the President of the Republic of the Philippines. Resolved by the House of Representatives, the Senate concurring, that both houses of Congress of the Republic of the Philippines hold a joint session on Monday, July 25, year 2022, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon at the session hall of the House of Representatives to hear the message of the President of the Republic of the Philippines. Adopted, signed, Manuel Jose Manix M. Dalipi, Representative.
Mr. President, I move that we consider Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 1. So move, Mr. President.
Is there an objection? There being none, House Concurrent Resolution Number 1 is hereby adopted. Please proceed, Majority.
Mr. President, I move that we adopt Senate Resolution Number 1. So move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? There being none, the motion is approved. Consideration of the proposed Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 1 is now in order. The Secretary will read the title and text of the measure.
Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 1, creating a joint committee of the Senate and the House of Representatives to notify the President of the Philippines that Congress, now convened for its first regular session of the 19th Congress of the Philippines, is ready to hear his State of the Nation address in a joint session of both houses. Resolved by the Senate, the House of Representatives concurring, that a committee of 5 members of the Senate, appointed by the Senate President, join a committee of the House of Representatives to notify the President of the Philippines that Congress, now convened for its first regular session of the 19th Congress of the Philippines, is ready to hear his State of the Nation address in a joint session of both houses. Adopted, signed, Joel Villanueva, Senator.
Mr. President, I move that we adopt Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 1. I so move, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, my dear colleague. But before we adopt it, I would like to amend it to 6 members, as 1 member would wish to join the 5-member delegation. If there being no objection, Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 1 is hereby adopted.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Pursuant thereto, to join the Senate President, I hereby appoint to the Joint Notification Committee on the part of the Senate, Senators Joel Villanueva, Senator Loren Legarda, Senator Amy Marcos, Senator Jinggoy Ejercito Estrada, and Senator Francis Tolentino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, before we suspend our session, may I just remind our colleagues to remain in the session hall for a photo session. Also, for our colleagues who have not been able to have their individual photographs taken, they may wish to do so until 1 o'clock in the afternoon at the Padilla Room. Mr. President, there being no further business, I move that we suspend the session until 4 o'clock this afternoon, at which time we shall reconvene at the session hall of the House of Representatives to hear the State of the Nation address of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. in a joint session of both houses of Congress. And when we adjourn the joint session, the session of the Senate shall be considered adjourned until tomorrow, July 26, 2022 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, the chair hears none, and before I suspend session, I once again want to thank all my colleagues, my dear colleagues. Maraming salamat sa inyo po. To all the guests, maraming salamat. Now the motion is approved. Session is suspended until 4 o'clock this afternoon for the joint session of Congress. The members of the Senate are advised to proceed to and be seated at the session hall of the House of Representatives by or before 3 p.m. After the joint session, the session of the Senate shall be considered adjourned until tomorrow, July 26, 2022 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The session is now suspended until 4 o'clock this afternoon.
So yan mga kabombo, no, katatapos lamang ng opening session ng Senado. So yan, Bombo Rebo, no, papasok na tayo ngayon mga kabombo kay Star Nation sa ating Bombo Network News. Pero special edition po tayo ng Bombo Network News dahil pa rin sa ating mga persona coverages. Ano? Kaugnay po naman ang opening session ng Kongreso na makasaysayan sa bagong administrasyon. Kanina sa Senado ay katatapos lamang ng kanilang matalakay na at maplansya na yung liderato ng Senado sa magitan ng bagong kanilang leader at ilang mahalagang mga posisyon dyan sa Senado. Balikan ko si Bombo Raymond Tinasa. Bombo Raymond dyan pa rin sa Senado na umantabay sa kaganapan dyan sa opening session ng 19th Congress. Bombo Raymond, please come back.
Bombo Elmar, eto nga at pansamantalang sinuspinde yung first regular session ng Senado at dahil nga pupunta sila yung mga senator doon sa batasang pambansa o kaya yung House of Representatives dyan sa Quezon City para pakinggan yung State of the Nation Address ni Pangulong Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. at magkakaroon din ng first joint session ang dalawang kapulungan ng Kongreso. So linawin natin marami kasi yung parang nagkakamali na yung joint session, yung opening session ng Kongreso. Ngayon, alas 10, nagsimula na yung first regular session ng Senado sa kanilang 19 Congress, Bombo Elmar. At pinaka-highlights dito, yung kanilang organisasyon at election ng kanilang officers. So bilang panghuli kanina ay pinagtibay nila yung dalawang resolution. Una, informing the President na organisado na, elected na yung mga officers ng Senado at yung pangalawang resolution naman ay informing the House of Representatives na organisado sila at elected na yung kanilang officers. At pinagtibay din yung dalawang concurrent resolution with the House of Representatives, Bombo Elmar, yung kanilang pagdalo at makinig sa first SONA ni Pangulong Marcos at yung pangalawa, yung kanilang pagbuo ng joint ng komite na kumbaga kasama doon sa entourage mamaya ni Pangulong Marcos. Sila yung sasalubong Bombo Elmar. Kinaibilangan yan ni Senator Amy Marcos, siyempre Senator Tolentino, itong si Senator Villanueva at itong si Senator Jingo Estrada. At bale 5 sila, Bombo Elmar, na magiging membro ng komite. At meron din silang counterpart doon sa Kamara, Bombo Elmar. So suspended na ngayon, maghahanda na sila. Yung iba, yung mga lady senators, ay pupunta na muna sa mga parlor para syempre ay magpalit din ng damit at magpaayos bago pupunta dahil alas 4 pa naman ng hapon yung joint session at SONA ni Pangulong Marcos. So i-recap lang naman natin. So elected na kanina itong si Senator Miguel Zubiri bilang bagong Senate President para sa 19th session o 19th Congress at itong si Senator Coco Pimentel naman ang magiging minority floor leader habang itong si Senator Villanueva kanina nagsimula na rin bilang majority leader Bombo Elmar. So yan yung kumbaga pinaka-highlights. Yung iba naman gaya na naiulat na natin kanina umaga yung nagpa-party-partihan na mga komite bilang yung mga chairmanship ng lahat ng 24 senators maliban na lamang hindi pa may napapansyahin pa ng mga chairmanship gaya para kay Senator Alan Peter Cayetano Bombo Elmar.
Bombo Raymond, so napansin natin yung naplansya lamang yung liderato ng Senado. Pero ibig sabihin nito, kung nagsagawa na sila ng adjournment, readying for joint session ngayong hapon, yung bukas nila ng alas 3 ng hapon ng Senado, doon na siguro mapapagtibay na ng gusto itong mga Senate Committee Chairmanship. Bombo Raymond, ganun ba?
That's right, Bombo Elmar. Well, ngayon ay suspended lang. Mamaya
suspended.
Mamayang hapon pa lamang i-adjourn.
Okay.
At babalik sila ng kanilang second regular session na bukas alas 3 ng hapon. So dito na ay anyway, committee chairmanship lang naman ito, madali na. Ang importante lang naman ay yung kanilang leadership, Bombo Elmar. At least meron na. Hindi kagaya last time nung mga na-cover na natin na mga naunang mga SONA ay mga nagkakaroon ng mga showdown pa at nagka-delay bago nagkaroon ng formal na Senate President para maging katabi mamaya ng Pangulong Marcos sa kanyang SONA. So malinis, suwabing-suwabe, smooth sailing yung naganap na organisasyon at paghalal ng mga opisyal ng Senado para sa 19th Congress, Bombo Elmar.
Bombo Raymond, babalikan kita mamaya. Dahil sa itatanong ko rin mamaya ulit, balikan natin yung pangyayari. Doon sa minority o kaya naman doon sa pagpili ng majority leader, tama ba yung pagkaintindi ko itong si Senador Robin Hood Padilla ay hindi bumoto doon kay Senator Joel abstain siya, Bombo Raymond, at iba pang mga kaganapan sa Senado. Babalikan kita dyan mamaya, Bombo Raymond, sa iba pang mga sitwasyon. At madako muna ako dyan sa Kamara de Representantes kung ano na ang sitwasyon sa pagpili naman, pag-nominate at ginarin na pagboto sa bagong Speaker of the House of Representatives. Please come back, Bombo Dali Soberano.
Yes, Bombo Elmar, matapos nga formal na mabuksan itong House of Representatives sa kanilang first regular session ng 19th Congress ngayong Lunes, nagsimula na rin ang botohan hanggang sa ngayon, Bombo Elmar. Isa-isang bumuboto ang mga House members sa pagka-speakership sa ating bilang na ginawa halos lahat ang bumoto kay Representative Martin Romualdez bilang susunod na Speaker of the House. Ang inaasahan din natin itong mga makabayan bloc o itong mga progressive groups na mga party list dito sa House of Representatives ay nag-abstain. Hindi sila bumoto sa parte ni Representative Marcos. So mamaya po, batay nga sa nakuha nating itong House rules, ang Secretary General ang immediately preceding Congress ang siyang mag-preside sa inaugural session kanina hanggang sa makapili ng bagong speaker. Ang pag-convene sa regular session ay naaayon sa Article 6, Section 13 and 16 of the 1987 Constitution, which provides that the Congress shall convene once every year of the fourth Monday of July para sa kanilang regular session. Present ngayon dito sa first regular session, Bombo Elmar, sa inaugural session ay si Vice President Sara Duterte. Inaabangan din natin yung kasuotan ni ni Vice President Sara Duterte dahil yung kanyang SONA attire ay hindi traditional Filipiniana, kundi ito ay kasuotan ng tribal group na matatagpuan sa Davao City. So mamaya po, Elmar, pagkatapos nitong botohan ay magkakaroon din, mag-a-adjourn sila at babalik sila mamayang 1:00 ng hapon, mag-convene na ang Senate at ang House of Representatives. So inaabangan din natin yung mga committee members, no, yung pag sino-sino ang mga mamumuno dito sa iba't ibang komite sa House of Representatives. So inaabangan natin yan dahil ongoing pa rin hanggang sa ngayon ang botohan dito. Nasa 309 na mga House members, Bombo Elmar, ang bumuboto. So hindi pa tayo nangangalahati sa mga bumuboto hanggang sa ngayon. So yan ang latest mula dito sa House of Representatives. Bombo Anali Montaño Soberano nag-uulat para sa Pambansang Radyo ng Pilipinas. Basta Radio. Bombo!
Bombo, itanong ko lamang, dahil sa, kung nagkakaroon pa sila ng botohan ngayon, formality na lamang po, Speaker, ibig sabihin, medyo matagal-tagal pa ng konti nito. So, ilang oras na lamang, para doon sa 4:00 ng hapon, mag-break sila ng konti, freshen up, magbago ng damit sila, magsuot ng kanilang Filipiniana at iba pa, para sa pagsalubong kay Pangulong Marcos. So, ganun ang mangyari dyan, Bomboan, dahil sa, meron pa rin silang ilang, committee dyan o ilang member ng House leadership na kanilang ihalal. Dahil sa, bago tayo mag-air kanina, no, dyan sa ating nationwide, actually, nasa Bombo Network News na tayo, no, ating mga himpilan dyan sa Bombo Radio Philippines, kasamang Star FM na Bombo Radio stations ay nakahook up na ngayon, no. Ang binabagit ko rin na Bomboan, nag-preside ngayon simula kaninang 10:00 ng umaga ang Secretary General, si Mark Leandro Mendoza. Ito iba naman doon sa Senado. Dilan sa kanina nag-preside ang mismong nahalal din na Senate President Mig Zubiri. Diyan ay ang kanilang Secretary General ang namumuno muna, Bomboan. Is that so, Bomboan?
Tama. Tama ka, Bombo Elmar, dahil nga sa isang sa isang rules nila dito sa House of Representatives, dapat ang itong House Secretary General muna ang magiging in charge dito nga sa manguna sa joint session, first regular session, dahil nga hanggat hindi pa nakakaboto or nakapili ng isang speaker. So pag magkaroon na ng speaker, Bombo Elmar, siya na yung mag-take over. So in the meantime, wala pang napipiling speaker, si Secretary General Mendoza muna ang siyang mag-preside dito nga sa session na ito, Bombo Elmar.
Nakikita ko dito sa video feed mula dyan sa kamera, Bomboan. So, patuloy pa rin, So, mahigit 300 dyan. May mga ibang congressman hindi na nagsasalita, Bomboan. Meron nagsasalita, pero hindi gaano mahaba para naman. Sige, pakinggan siguro natin, Bombomar, Bomboan Nali, yung ilang kaganapan para ipakita natin yung kung bakit natatagalan sa kamera, Ganon talaga ang sitwasyon dyan, Demokrasya, pag-ibigyan yung isa lahat, na magsalita kung anong kanilang boto para sa bagong Speaker of the House. Okay, balikan natin ang video feed live mula dyan sa Kamara de Representantes. Okay. Isa-isa to tinatawag dito, kaya may lull, may gap sila. Unlike dun sa Senado. Okay. Okay, inantay
Good
natin.
afternoon, Mr. Presiding Officer. Behalf of 1st District of Camarines Sur, I vote for Honorable Martin Romualdez to be the next Speaker of 19th Congress. Thank you.
Javier.
Okay, tatawagin yung si Congressman Javier kung anong kanyang boto dyan sa Kamara. Kung siya ipabor ba sa bagong na-nominate na Speaker of the House, si Congressman Martin Romualdez ng Leyte.
Maupay nga udto haaton nga tanan. The 2nd District of Leyte votes for our beloved 1st District of Leyte Representative Ferdinand Martin Romualdez as the Speaker of the House for the 19th Congress. Damo nga salamat.
Olga Ara.
So ganun yun ang kaganapan mga kabombo ka Star Nation, mabagal at talagang dragging kung sabi pa nga dahil sa napakarami ng tatawagin dito. Kung magsalita ka lamang diyan bomboan minsan mahabang iyong speech o kaya mga paabot ka lamang ng one sentence, ganun baan? Hindi naman lahat nagsasalita, di ba bomboan Ali?
Tama ka, Bombo Elmar. Yung iba ay gusto direct to the point. Yung iba naman ay gusto yung may mga maraming pasikot-sikot, Bombo Elmar, maraming introduction, mahaba yung introduction. Pero may mga iba talagang straight to the point sila sa kanilang boto. No, ito naman, Bombo Elmar, itong pagka-nominate kay Speaker, itong kay Representative Martin Romualdez ay suportado din siya ni dating Pangulo at Pampanga Representative Gloria Macapagal Arroyo sa kanyang speakership bid. At sa ngayon, wala nga dito si Speaker, itong si Representative Arroyo dahil nga nagpositibo siya sa COVID-19, Bombo Elmar. Pero suportado ng dating Pangulo ang bid ni Speaker, itong incoming Speaker na presumptive Speaker na si Representative Martin Romualdez. So pagkatapos niyan, Bombo Elmar, in the afternoon nga, kasi alas 12 na nga, ay dapat ay magkukonvene na ang Senate at ang House dito nga sa plenary at ito nga ay para bigyang daan na din ang mamayang hapon, alas 4, ang State of the Nation Address ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos dito sa Batasang Pambansa, Bombo Elmar.
Right, para sa kalaban pa, Bomboan, sino ang unang nag-nominate kay Congressman Martin Romualdez ng Leyte para maging speaker? Bomboan, sino ba yung mga unang tumayo dyan mula kaninang alas 10 ng umaga, Bomboan?
Talaga ang unang tumayo dito at kinilala ng body ay itong si Ilocos Norte Representative Sandro Marcos na nakatrabaho din ni Representative Martin Romualdez dahil naging staff itong dati ni Representative Romualdez, itong si Representative Sandro Marcos na ngayon. Sabi nga ni Representative Marcos, very qualified itong si Representative Romualdez na maging Speaker of the House dahil sa kanyang mga experience at dahil sa kanyang mga nagawa, Bombo Elmar. During bilang majority leader ng 18th Congress, maraming mga batas ang naipasa sa pangunguna nito ni Representative Romualdez. Kaya nga't walang duda na si Representative Romualdez ay talagang very, very qualified para nga maging Speaker of the House. Ayon yan kay Representative Sandro Marcos. Sumunod na tumayo itong dating Senator at ang ngayon ay 6th District Congressman ng Batangas na si Representative Ralph Recto. Ang sabi niya, very qualified din talaga itong si Representative Romualdez para maging Speaker of the House at mamuno sa mahigit 300 na mga mambabatas dito nga sa House of Representatives, Bombo Elmar.
Yes, Bombo, pagkatapos pala ng magaganap mamaya ng SONA ng Pangulong Marcos, ano pang makaganapan dyan? Meron ba dyang cocktails? Meron bang kainan dyan? Meron bang inihanda na blowout dyan? Ang bagong speaker dyan sa Kamara, Bomboan? Ano pa mga paghahanda dyan, Bomboan Ali?
Tama ka, Bombo Elmar. Mamaya tayo ay very lucky na napasama nga sa plenary at papasok tayo sa plenary mamaya at tutunghayan natin personally yung yung State of the Nation Address at yung mga makaganapan sa loob ng plenary, Bombo Elmar. At pagkatapos noon ay magkakaroon ng cocktails. Simpleng cocktails ang inihanda ng House of Representatives. Pagkatapos ng SONA ng Pangulong Bongbong Marcos ay kaagad bibigyan ng itong cocktails ang lahat ng mga dumalo sa plenary at invited sa loob ng plenary, Bombo Elmar. So ang nakita natin, napakasimple mga Filipino food ang inihanda doon nga sa itong cocktails na inihanda nga para sa mga bisita, Bombo Elmar.
Hindi ba yung bongga ang pagkain dyan, Bomboan? O mga tama-tama, tanghalian na ngayon, Bomboan, baka meron kang mabanggit dyan ng mga pagkain na inihanda ng liderato ng Kamara bilang blowout kay Pangulong Bongbong Marcos. Ito yung mga native food ba ito, Bomboan? Ang babandera mamaya na ipapakain, pati siguro sa mga miyembro ng diplomatic corps, Bomboan, o mga bisita dyan, Bomboan. How's that?
Yan, Bombo Elmar, yung cocktails na yun ay para lahat sa mga miyembro ng diplomatic corps. Kaya nga, ang mga inihanda ay may nakita akong bibingka, Bombo Elmar, may mga toasted, may mga pansit, may itong mga puto nakita natin at iba pa, yung menu. Pero talagang Filipino food ang inihanda para nga sa cocktails mamaya, Bombo Elmar.
Ako nakakagutom pala yung mga paghahanda dyan sa Kamara, Bomboan, So,
Tama ka.
Oo, pero simple lamang, Bomboan. Karamihan ay mga Filipino food,
Tama ka.
Ganun ba?
Tama ka, Bombo Elmar. Wala tayong nakita ng mga Asian food dito, mga iba pang mga international foods dito. Wala tayong nakita, Bombo Elmar. Puro Filipino food. May kape, may tsaa, may water. Yun ang nakita natin sa menu kanina para nga na sa ihahaing cocktails sa mga bisita ng pagkatapos ng State of the Nation address ng Pangulong Marcos.
Alright, si Bombo Anali Soberano, Direkta Pia. Maraming salamat, Bomboan.
Live mula dito sa Kamara, Bombo Anali Montaño Soberano nag-uulat para sa Pambansang Radyo ng Pilipinas. Basta Radio, Bombo!
Babalikan kita, Bombo Anali Soberano, dyan sa Kamara Representantes, bago mag alas 4 mamayang hapon ating special coverage. Kung pa rin sa makasaysayan, maging bagay po kayo ng kasaysayan sa kanunahang State of the Nation address ng Pangulong Bongbong Marcos. Balikan natin ang Senado dahil sa formal na pong nailuklok din ng mga bagong leader doon. Kung pa rin itong pagbubukas ng 19th Congress bago ang joint session mamayang hapon. Nagbabalik pa rin si Bombo Raymond Tinasa. Bombo Raymond, para sa mga hindi nakapakakinig mula pa sa ating special coverage kanina, paki-share yung ilang mga highlights kanina. Bombo Raymond, please come back.
Yes, tama ka dyan, Bombo Elmar. At lalo na yung mga hindi nakapanood, mga viewers natin na hindi nakapanood sa akin at sa ating video mula sa session hall ng Senado, Bombo Elmar. At kanina ay formal na nahalal bilang Senate President itong si Senator Juan Miguel Mig Zubiri, habang Senate Majority Leader naman itong si Joel Villanueva, Senate President Pro Tempore si Senator Loren Legarda, at Senate Minority Floor Leader naman itong si Alan Peter Cayetano. So yan yung mga pinaka-highlights, mga inuna talaga ng mga opisyales ng Senado para sa 19th Congress, Bombo Elmar. At sa kanyang naging, kumbaga, parang valedictory address, commentary, Bombo Elmar, yung talumpati ni SP Zubiri ay kanyang binigyan diin ng kanyang liderato ay hindi niya susuluhin ng kapangyarihan. Bagkus, delegated daw ito sa lahat ng kanilang 24 miyembro ng Senado, kung saan ay kanyang niyayakap ang anumang debate at diskusyon para magkaroon ng isang solusyon at yung consensus para sa kabutihan din at kapakanan ng ating bansa. At ito pa, kanya binibigyan din na lahat daw ay malaya sa kanyang liderato at basta lamang ay walang personalan, at kumbaga ay issue ang kanilang pag-usapan at para sa solusyon, hindi para sa away o paghahanap lamang ng butas o kaya ay kamalian. Na ito, balikan natin yung naging mensahe ni Senator Zubiri pagkatapos ng kanyang eleksyon bilang Senate President.
To my colleagues, thank you for the trust. I shall repay that honor with hard work as your trabajador ng Senado. To my family, my wife Audrey, who's always been supportive of me 1,000%. To my children Adriana, Juan, me, and Santi. To my mother and father, Mommy Vicky and Daddy Joe, I pledge that nothing I do will stain the memory of our ancestors or sour your love for me. It is with humility that I accept this position. I do so conscious of the burden it carries and committed to the work it entails. As presiding officer, I may wield the gavel, but not the power of this institution. That power is shared by us all, by every one of you, and more so our main responsibility of responding to the needs of the people and respecting their will. I say this, my friends, because you and I know that never has the fate of the Senate been dependent on the hands of only one man. It has always rested on the collective shoulders of all its members.
Mga kabombo, mga ka-Star Nation, yung mensahe ni Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri na kumbaga nakailang beses na majority leader at hinog ng araw sa kanyang bagong posisyon bilang leader ng Senado. At yun nga, at tingnan natin yung kanyang mga kumbaga pangunguna. Lalapad siya, yung mga nag-nominate sa kanya, ang tawag sa kanya ay Mr. Cool, charming daw. Siya nga daw yung founder ng Senate Committee on Charm dahil bagamat nagkakaitim daw, nagkakatensyon, ay nagagawa niyang napapahupa ang sitwasyon at kilala siya. Yung tinatawag na ice cream diplomacy nung nagbigay siya ng ating isang ice cream sa mga miyembro nung nagkaroon ng mainitang debate sa floor. Bombo Elmar. So talagang, kumbaga, marunong daw siya na, kumbaga, consensus builder. Ika nga, itong si Senator Zubiri, Bombo Elmar.
So yan, congratulations kay Senator Zubiri, Bombo Raymond. Talagang sabi nga, napanday ng panahon at ngayon, ang dami niya napagsilbihan na, na nakasama ng mga veteran senators. Kanina, Bombo Raymond, itatanong ko sa iyo, unexpectedly, surprising, ang ginawa ni Senator Robin Padilla na hindi siya bumoto kay Sir Joel Villanueva bilang Senate Majority Floor Leader, Bombo Raymond. Ano kayong mga haka-haka ka dyan? Biglang tumayo si Senator Robin Padilla, Bombo Raymond. Yes.
Hello?
Oo. Bombo Raymond, nawawala yung signal mo. Oo. Yes, kanina kasi mga kabombo ka Star Nation, habang nagkaroon tayo ng coverage, biglang tumayo si Robin Padilla at sinasabi niya na tumanggi siya na bumoto dito bilang majority leader nila itong si Senator Joel Villanueva. Although lahat naman ng mga senador majority na halos ay bumoto kay Senator Joel, pero itong mula sa administration party rin na kabahagi rin ng majority, ang na-fight na si Senator Padilla ay tumanggi na bumoto kaugnay po naman ng botohan para sa majority floor leader dyan sa Senado. Samantala, mga kabombo kay Star Nation, balik muna tayo sa ilang mga balita. Kaugnay po naman ang malaking balita rin na pumukaw kahapon. Doon po naman sa Ateneo di Manila University matapos paslangin ng dating mayor ng Basilan. At ito ay may kaugnayan pa rin sa pagkakahuli rin ng isang doktor na siyang umamin din na siya ang pangunahing suspect sa pagpatay at personal daw ang motibo. May mga reaksyon pa tayong nakuha kaugnay po naman sa naturang impormasyon kung saan nga ay ilang reaksyon lalo dyan sa lalawigan ng Basilan na siyang pinanggalingan nga na napatay nitong dating mayor na si Rosso Furigay. At kunan natin ang linya muna dyan sa Star FM Cotabato.
Nalulungkot at maring kinundina ni 1st District Basilan Representative Mujib Hatamana ang pagpatay sa Ateneo di Manila University kay dating mayor ng Lamitan City Basilan na si Rose Forigaya. Sa naging panayam ng Star FM Cotabato kay Representative Hatamana, sinabi nito na malapit sa kanya si Lamitan City former Mayor Forigaya kaya't sobrang nalulungkot ito sa pagkawala ng former mayor.
Nung lawyer, nakausap ko ngayon lang, attend yun ng graduation, pababa sila nung anak na nila, binaril. Ang nabaril, yung actually dating mayor yon. Mayor naman niya yung asawa ngayon. Ngayon lang nagpalit sila. Si Rose Furigay, siyang binaril daw. Si Rose Furigay, pagbaba niya lang ng van. According sa lawyer, kaya to Gera kausap ko ngayon. Ay, siya na yun, nag-pass out. Siyang kwento sa akin, siya raw unang binaril pagbaba ng sasakyan, tapos nadamay yung anak. Graduating ng LLB.
Yun lang tumawag ako kasi.
Bakit? Ewan ko, hindi ko rin gets kasi una, kung politika, hindi naman siya incumbent mayor ngayon. Si Banya, si Uri, nagpalit siya.
Bumalik.
Tapos hindi na to tumakbo ngayon. Hindi na to tumakbo ngayon. Siyempre, as usual, di ba? Alam mo naman, nakakalungkot na balita, siyempre, dahil mga kasama, kaibigan. Tapos, sa graduation ng anak.
Si 1st District Representative Mujib Hatamana. Samantala, nagpahayag naman ang pamahalaan ng Bangsamoro sa pagpanaw ni dating Mayor Rose Forigaya. Laman ang pahayag na inilabas ng BARM government ang pagdadalamhati nito kay isa ang Lamitan City sa hindi makatarungang pagpaslang kay dating Mayor Rose Forigaya sa araw ng pagtatapos sana ng kanyang anak sa Ateneo di Manila University kahapon. Para sa Bombo Network News, ito si Star DJ Tom ng 93.7 Star FM Cotabato para sa pambansang radyo ng Pilipinas, Basta Radyo, Bombo!
Samantala, dyan naman sa may bahagi ng Davao, tumataas pa ang bilang ng mga nasawi kung naiparin ang diarrhea outbreak. May nakuha ng mga impormasyon, may follow-up dito ang Star FM Davao.
Tungkot na ibinalita ni Davao City Health Officer Dr. Ashley Lopez na 4 na ang naitalang nasawi dahil sa diarrhea outbreak sa Turil, Davao City. Kinumpirma nitong isang 23 anyos na healthcare worker bilang swabber sa Davao City Health Office. Sa report na inilabas ni Dr. Ashley Lopez, kumain umano ito ng tapioka na isa sa posibleng dahilan ng pinagmula ng nasabing outbreak sa lugar at nakaranas na umano ito ng mga sintomas ng diarrhea nitong July 15, 2022 at pumanaw ang pasyente dahil sa severe dehydration.
Incidentally, last July 15, nakakaon po din siya og tapioca dito sa Turil. After 24 hours overnight, manifested with LBL, vomiting, abdominal pain. Unang gi-admit siya initially sa via process. It stayed there for 3 days before going out as HAMA, home against medical advice. When upon going back to his base, still manifested with LBM and vomiting, and was readmitted in another private hospital in Turil. He stayed there for 5 to 6 days before na succumb din siya sa death.
Ang tinig ni Davao City Health Officer Dr. Ashley Lopez. Maalalang una ng naitalang nasawi ang 10 anyos na batang lalaki, isang 67 anyos na lola at ang isang guro. Sa ngayon nasa 261 na ang total cases nito, 4 ang casualties at 183 ang active cases sa diarrhea outbreak sa lungsod ng Davao. Mula rito sa 96.3 Star FM Davao para sa Bombo Network News, Star DJ Tony nag-uulat para sa Pambansang Radyo ng Pilipinas. Basta Radyo, Bombo!
Samantala, balik tayo sa Metro Manila. Hanggang sa mga oras na ito ay nagpapatuloy pa rin ang botohan sa bagong speaker ng Kamara de Representantes. Habang tayo nagre-report sa narito pa ang makaganapan live na video feed mula sa ating Bombo News team dyan sa Kamara de Representantes sa Batasan Complex sa Quezon City. At pakinggan natin ilang pa sa kaganapan ngayon. Alright, abangan natin, antayin natin at may tinawag pa ang kanilang presider kaugnay po naman ng patuloy na botohan, Napakadami nito, mahigit 300 ang mga congressman natin. 315, 309 ang present face to face, Ito po ang makalipas ang 2 taon na hindi ganito ang setup ng mga congressman. Okay, pakinggan po natin ang botohan ng speakership sa mga oras na ito.
Noel. Nograles Margarita Ignacia.
Good afternoon, Mr. Presiding Officer. Good afternoon to our Vice President, Inday Sara Duterte. On behalf of PBA, Party List Representation votes for Honorable Martin Romualdez as the next Speaker for the 19th Congress. Thank you.
Nolasco.
Your Honor, on behalf of the people of the 1st District of Cagayan, I hereby vote for the Honorable Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez as Speaker of the House.
Oaminal.
Mr. Speaker, the people of the 2nd District of Misamis Occidental, whom I serve, are confident that we can reach great heights and achieve monumental milestones under the leadership of the good gentleman from Leyte. Thus, I vote for the Honorable Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez as the next Speaker of the House.
Olaso.
So yan mga kabombo, So letter N, letter O pa lamang sila. So medyo mahaba-haba pa to mga kabombo na anting-antay, At siguro sa ating pagbabalik, ibibigay na lamang natin kaganapan. Pagkatapos itong botohan at formal ng maluklok bilang bagong House Speaker ng 19th Congress ng Kamara Representantes, si Leyte Congressman Martin Romualdez, ay magsasagawa po siya ng traditional na acceptance speech, para doon sa kanyang mga colleagues at baka i-outline pa yung kanyang mga legislative priorities. Pagkatapos nito, ang Kamara, mga miyembro ng mababang kapulungan ng Kongreso ay magpapasa po ng resolusyon informing President Marcos Jr. na ready na mag-convene, mag-organisa at tanggapin siya sa kanilang gaganaping kauna-unahang SONA ng Pangulong Marcos na ganapin naman mamayang alas 4 ng hapon. Kanina mga kabombo, sa report ng ating news team dyan sa Senado, ang tatanggap kay Pangulong Marcos on the part of the Senate ay itong Senator Joel Villanueva, Senator Loren Ligarda at na rin itong Senator Amy Marcos, Senator Jingo Estrada, Senator Francis Tolentino. Bombo Raymond, please come back. Ano na pala ang huli dyan bago tayo magtapos sa ating Bombo Network News? Bombo Raymond, please come back.
Yes, Bombo Elmar, tapos na nga yung kumbaga yung first regular session dito sa Senado at nagkisialisan na rin yung ilang mga senador at para maghanda para dumalo sa kanilang joint session at pakikinig sa State of the Nation Address ni Pangulong Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos mamayang alas 4 ng hapon. Buti na lamang dito mabilis, hindi kagaya sa House yung naging botohan na yung tawag dyan nominal voting, Bombo Elmar. So talagang matagal yan. Dito kanina ay consensus lamang at wala nang mga nag-object. So naging mabilis dito yung botohan ng mga officers, mga opisyal ng Senado. So yan, yung mga kaganapan, eleksyon ng bagong presidente ng Senado, si Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri at ilan pang mga kumbaga patikim sa unang sesyon ng Senado sa 19th Congress. Bombo Elmar, live mula rito sa Senado sa Pasay City. Bombo Raymond Tinasa nag-uulat para sa Pambansang Radyo ng Pilipinas, basta radyo, Bombo!
So yan mga kabombo, bagay pa rin ang ginagawa nating special coverage at kaugnay pa rin ng pre-SONA coverages ng Bombo Radio Philippines kasama ang mga Star FM at Bombo Radio stations nationwide. Magbabalik po tayo mamaya mga kabombo Star Nation dito lamang sa Bombo Radio Philippines at po kayong bibitaw dahil sa ihatid na naman po namin na makasaysayan na namang yugto ng ating gobyerno na nasa ilalim po ng bagong liderato ng Pangulong Bongbong Marcos kaugnay ng kanyang kauna-unahang State of the Nation Address at dito po niyo maririnig din po yung mga balaki ng Pangulang gusto niyang sa Kongreso na may pasa at yun na rin yung problema para miyahaw naman ng itong ekonomiya ang ating mga kababayan sa panahon ng krisis po ngayon. So abangan nyo po mamaya bago mag alas 4 so we can go on air again sa ating mga himpilan mga 3:30 in the afternoon para naman sa ating gawing special coverage, sa ating blow by blow special coverage at maging sa mga social media accounts po ng Bombo Radio Star FM. Abangan nyo po doon ang ating mga pag-live na reporting hindi lamang po yung audio kundi yung video coverage na bibigay po ng Bombo Radio Philippines para po sa publiko sa buong bansa at sa buong mundo. At live, nationwide, worldwide, via satellite mula sa Bombo News Center Makati. Kami po ang inyong mga nakasamang nagatid ng balita. Ako naman po si Bombo Marakol para sa Pambansang Radyo ng Pilipinas. Basta Radyo, Bombo!